Please stand by.
I've been receiving strange reports of odd
I'm set.
Now has mounted a full counterattack.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by. Primary objective achieved. Welcome back, Commander.
Understand your hit? Last one. Right. There's another one. Bingo.
Welcome along, folks, and welcome to the second semi-final of TACT 21.1. Take 2, because my mic was muted the first time. Joining me this evening is my good friend and wingman, Octuplefire. Say good evening, Mr. Octuplefire.
Good evening.
And joining us for this little pre-game analysis to offer some insightful insight and statistery will be Mr. 104th Bullet. Good evening, Bullet.
Statister. Oh, I can't even pronounce that. That was a good one. But I don't know how much insight I can provide, but I'll do my best.
We'll see. As we said just before we went live, this is unknown ground for us at the moment. I felt in the run-up that the semi-finals were deserving of a little bit more attention, so I've put together some statistics during the week. I spent a lot of time going through the Tacviews and matches from both squadrons over the course of TACT 21.1. I have some interesting findings I'm hoping to share with Tina this evening, and then in about 20 or so minutes time we'll be getting into the server to watch the match proper. So without further ado, let's have a little talk about the two squadrons we have in front of us. I think known to most people who are here watching. We seem to have a lot of the usual folks along. I see in chat Fallen is here, Gamma, Raccoon, Flaming Only Fans, Tucker, good evening to you all, and a whole bunch of other folks who have followed in the last few minutes. So let's start with PTF. Phoenix Task Force is a multinational DCS platform managed by Pakistanis. PTF themselves has numerous squadrons, which offer all types of DCS gameplay, but 2 are dedicated for competitive role only. Named after the Pakistan Air Force squadrons, 18 Squadron Sharpshooter is utilised for basic tactical training, and 29 Squadron Aggressors focuses on advanced tactical training of the pilots. PTF started competitive flying since TAW 2020. Squadron members themselves are all from Pakistan, except for 2 people, Kula, who is from the UK, and Lucky, who is from Germany. Those 2 names we'll be talking about more in a few minutes' time. The other squadron, of course, in the semi-final is TAW, the Art of Warfare. I think most people here, again, will be pretty familiar with TAW. They've been around for quite a while. TAW as an entity was formed in 2001 and has teams across many games. The DCS TAW division was formed in 2013, starting with the North American branch, and then the branch was formed in 2015, the DCS branch, that is. TAW has multiple DCS divisions, focusing on both PvP and PvE, and we have many pilots from all over the world and all walks of life. TAW participate in many public events and have flown in SATAL for multiple years, so are quite prominent in the DCS PvP community. As I say, no strangers to most people here. Right, let's get that music down just a shade. I think it's probably a bit high. And now let's kick into a little bit of how did these squadrons get to the semi-finals.
Yeah, for audio, music down just a touch, and you can maybe bring Octuple up just a little.
Roger, Bullet, thank you, sir.
Yep, and then otherwise, good to go.
Alright, so Bullet and Octuple, you guys are seeing this as well on the screen in front of us now, and hopefully live on the stream after our 30-second delay. Of course, we are on a 30-second delay for the stream for obvious reasons. So PTF started TACT in Group E, where they had matches against SPQR and Task Force Triton, TFT. Interestingly, you can see in the first round, they had a win against SPQR, 6 kills, 2 deaths. They brought home 4 of their birds, so pretty decisive round. And then the little synopsis I've given for each of these is just a small takeaway as I reviewed them, that the Phoenixes and the Tomcats were the heavy hitters for PTF in this round. There's a theme that we'll be talking about the Tomcats as we go through a little bit of this. Round 2 in that first match, indeed, was quite the comeback for SPQR. They managed to turn the tables quite nicely on PTF. Sorry, I'm clicking around badly here and missing where my notes are.
Well, that's good stuff. The Phoenix, that was one of the real surprising things in some of our early testing and practice and that stuff. The Phoenix wasn't really being that effective, but in competition, when the pressure's on, that thing can really sneak in and get people. Like, you have that 87-mile kill. It can really, really be a game changer, or it can kind of fall apart and fizzle on you.
Yeah, we've seen 2 things from PTF across these rounds. Certainly in this one, just finally got my notes in order here. There were 3 Phoenix kills for PTF. 27 nautical miles, 12 nautical miles, and 25 nautical miles, so close in medium range. And then the Vipers of PTF took up the other kills with 3 AMRAAMs. Big takeaway that I've gotten from the way PTF approach their rounds is that they're quite aggressive. They really get in there. You know, there's not really the sort of caution that we would see with some squadrons or any sort of grinders being set up. And that kind of went against them in the second round against SPQR. All their aircraft got quite isolated, is the note I had, and they ended up losing that round, with SPQR taking 2 birds home. And of course, as you alluded to there, Bullet, round 3 brought in that 87 nautical mile Phoenix kill, which was the biggie for TACT. I think it blew all of our minds that it actually reached out and did it. Kula in the Tomcat got that kill against Alpha Gator of SPQR. And that, of course, sealed the deal for the first match for PTF. Their second one, then, against Task Force Trident, was a little bit more decisive. Round 1, we saw PTF win it, killing all of the enemy aircraft and then bringing home 2 birds. The synopsis here is that Lucky's AIM-9s had a big impact. In fact, Lucky himself had a huge round here. Got 1 Phoenix kill and then 2 AIM-9 kills with his Tomcat.
Yeah, they kind of found the secret recipe for the Tomcat is it does have kind of a weakness with its data link and getting information, but once it knows where bad guy is, it can just charge in there. It's fast. The missile is super fast, especially in close, so it can be very deadly. It just, the weakness of it is getting that information. But once it knows where the bad guy is, it can just home in and get him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think like one of the other meta things I've seen with the Tomcat, of having reviewed these Tacviews, is that when it gets scush and all the phoenixes are gone and it still has those heaters, if it kind of just focuses on staying alive a little bit, it becomes a force multiplier towards the late game when everybody else starts running out of AMRAAMs. And it can come in and go, right, I can get close now.
Very true.
Alright, apologies, just getting some feedback from chat about music volume, so the delay obviously kicking in there, so I'm getting word it is correct now, so that's good. Thank you very much, Deliberator Knight. Alrighty, so that was Task Force Trident's round. This round 2, again, the note here is aggression. PTF were very aggressive and just went straight in and pretty much just, you know, gung-ho, fangs out, as you like to describe Bullet, and it got them the win in what was fairly short order. Bringing home 3 birds, lost 3, but one of TFT, you can see there's only 5 kills there. One of the TFT birds, I think, CFIT, or possibly disconnected. Yeah, it was a CFIT on the TFT side. Then, of course, the quarterfinals. PTF went up against SF, and SF is, of course, known to many people across the DCS community and very highly regarded. In fact, I remember Maverick was doing a stream some weeks back where he was waxing lyrical about SF to the virtue of being the best squadron in DCS. So, for PTF to have come away with a win against SF was, you know, a huge result, I think, for a relatively new squadron, I wanted to say. Let me just double check my notes there.
Yeah, very true. I totally echo what Maverick's saying. I have tons of respect for SF Squadron and TAW. So many of these squadrons in here are just incredible fighters, but the individual talent on SF is almost a bar above everybody else. And this was an incredible quarterfinal to see PTF just do their thing and kind of plow into these guys. It looks like, you know, as you're showing here, they kind of fell apart on their first round, but then second and third round they really were able to make their magic happen. Yeah,
that's exactly it, Bullet. As the note says, they're overextended for round 1. That was my takeaway, beyond personal opinion from the Tacview. When their aircraft kind of just went too far and kind of extended and got isolated, that tended to be where it started falling apart. Whereas for rounds 2 and 3, their coordination was much improved, and their Tomcats, again, were hugely effective in the third round. In fact, my notes say there were 3 Phoenix kills in that third round and 1 M9 kill. I'm not sure if that M9 was... It was indeed actually from a Tomcat, so 4 kills from the Tomcats in that third round.
That is just amazing going against SF, because they are so good in close. That's like their bread and butter. They get in really close on you, and they love their Hornets, which is one of the best in close fighters we have. And yeah, so that was just epic.
Indeed. So let's have a little shift over here to TAW. I'm trying to run a timer in the background here, so we don't end up spending about an hour talking about this. There is a match to be had, of course, this evening. So let's have a look at TAW.
There is that.
So TAW came through Group I, where they faced off against Harpia and the meme champions of TACT 21.1, the Motley Crew, TMC. So as the notes show here, round 1, Harpia, they came out with a loss, surprisingly, in a way. The note, of course, says Dyrans. I keep wanting to say Dryan. Dyrans flank. I think I commentated on this with Low Blow at the time, and they did something similar to what the 64th have done. Hang on, I'm getting word feedback from chat to turn my own mic up.
And then if you could move the slide on Discord over to your TAW road to semifinals.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My multitasking is not as good as Deliberator's.
He is epic on that, man. That's a talent. That's a gift.
Oh, it's incredible. Honestly, I don't know how the man does it. Bear with me one moment. Alright, that should be my microphone a good bit louder now. If it needs to go up more, please let me know, chat. Thank you, Kebab, for that feedback. Keep it coming. It is hard to get this audio right without actually being able to hear it all myself. Alright, so, as I said, the TAW folks, I think, were the only other people, along with the 64th, to try and do big wide flanks within the bubble. Everybody else seemed to be more content to take a side or go straight in for the middle. Didn't work out for them in that first round. I think they tried it again in the second and then abandoned in the third, is my recollection. But they changed their tactics in round 2 and took an extra Hornet. One of the things we've seen from TAW throughout these matches is they tend to take a different composition of aircraft, depending on what they're up against, or indeed how the matches are going. They'll take either 2 Vipers, 4 Hornets, 3 Vipers, 3 Hornets, or 4 Vipers, 2 Hornets. So you can have any combination in that kind of a range. Interestingly,
They have
sorry, Bob, go ahead.
yeah, they have a very deep talent pool of pilots that they can draw from, and all of them have many talents. So they're incredibly flexible, and they can do a lot of different tactics, which you're always looking for. So that's one of their big strengths, is being able to be super flexible and come at you in a new and interesting way.
Indeed, yeah. From having watched over the Tacviews in the run-up to this, TAW generally brought a new tactic in most rounds. I don't think there may have been 1 or 2 where they kind of stayed with the same thing, but by and large they had several variations. A couple of things that stand out in that regard is, as we'll see, I imagine, in the live match in a few minutes' time, they tend to go for the preemptive notch and look to spoil the early Phoenixes. Indeed, talking about PTF and Tomcats and long-range Phoenixes, I think every game for PTF we have seen a long-range Phoenix. We'll talk about that more again in a moment when we look at some more stats. So watching their initial formation, watching how they break into it, it's clear that they practice these maneuvers extensively. You know, they're very, very finely executed, I suppose is probably the best way of describing it.
Yeah, going back to the quality of their squadron, they have such a depth of pilots, because TAW doesn't only do the competition stuff. They have dedicated sections of their squadron that are just ground attack or helicopter. So they have a lot of guys to help them behind the scenes to really hone their tactics and practice with drills.
Indeed. So the last thing I'd say about that first match against Harpia is the Furball finale, and what's interesting here is that it ended up being a 1v1 between Spectrum, and if I can find my note, against Wolf of Harpia. And that last kill secured the match for Harpia. And I think there have been maybe 2 or 3 big moments for TAW throughout this competition where, had that moment gone the other way, we wouldn't see TAW in the semi-finals today. You know, it's been on the knife edge a couple of times that I think really make it exciting to watch, to be honest. Saw some great flying from Spectrum both in that round and several rounds thereafter. Good bullet.
Yeah, just that it just is a 1 or 2 second event that can happen where somebody sees something just at the right time that can change the whole course of a match. And so anybody, there's so much good talent out there these last few years that has come up in DCS that everybody has a shot of really excelling and beating. Doesn't matter which squadron you're going up against, you could have a really good day.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the second match of Group I, rather, was against TMC, the meme champions. 2 big call-outs here, because both rounds were decisive for TAW. The first one being that Saviour had to return to base at the start, and it became a 5v6, but it mattered not in the end, because the 5-ship of TAW had the round won by the time Saviour re-entered the bubble, after the RTB. Similarly, in the second round of that, it ended up being the Spectrum and Saviour show on the east and west of the bubble. Both pilots coming out with 3 kills in that round. They lost 1 jet and then 5 elements returning back, which is just decisive. So, of course, Group I was the only group which had a qualifying round. No, sorry, I tell a lie. I think it was Group I and then whatever group the 14th were in were the only 2 groups to have a qualifying round then to get to the quarterfinals. So we had TAW taking on the 14th VFS. And similarly to their first match, they lost that first round against the 14th, and my note here says wall to wall, because looking over the Tacview, it was quite impressive when we saw a 6-ship of the 14th in a wide wall, facing off against a 4-element wall of TAW, and then 2 coming up in a rear grinder, and it was just an impressive kind of formation sight going through it.
Yeah, that's looking at the 14th and what they do. They have very good squadron tactics, where you can see all of them are very coordinated. They spend a lot of time putting some good stuff together.
Yes, indeed. So then we had round 2, which was again on a knife edge, and the note here is close but coordinated. TAW pulled out the win. Could have gone either way, but they got back in it, drawing the match 1-1. Round 3 then, again, was on a knife edge, and we had one ship remain, which was Luminary. And at the end, Luminary's SA is worth calling out here, because while everybody else was kind of tumbleweeding getting into the merge, Luminary extended out, did a very controlled recommit, scanned down his sectors for anyone flanking, came in and then killed 2 of the 14th, and then team killed one of his own pilots for good measure. And basically won the round.
A kill is a kill.
Absolutely. So then finally, with the quarterfinals, as seen lately against Bravo, TAW again lost round 1. And the note here saying isolated and swarmed. So like what we were saying with PTF a few minutes ago, they just overextended, were flying kind of more solo, and then coordination broke down. But in the second round, they could change that up, and they got back on their game, and it was dominant. You know, they killed all of the 14th, recovered 4 aircraft, and got back in the match. Finally then, round 3. Round 3 of the quarterfinal. As I try to scan my notes. Long story short, Luminary came out, as the note says there, with 4 kills. And it was a 2v4 at the end, where it was 2 TAW versus 4 14th, and Luminary basically just went mad again with the kills. So we could see in both the end of the qualifier with the 14th and the end of the quarterfinal with Bravo, Luminary just had that presence and skill to bring it home for our TAW.
Yeah, they got a lot of powerful individuals. They're very good at the in-close, very aggressive stuff. So my big takeaway, TAW is very good aggressive in-close, and the same that they're going to be battling against with PTF. So it's going to be really interesting battles.
So then let's have a really quick look at some kill boards here. So this was the main purpose of going through all these Tacviews this week, was to come up with a little bit of stats about who are we looking out for here. So you can have a peruse of this at your own leisure, but the real things I want to highlight are the 3 people, you know, getting the majority of kills here for PTF are Lucky in the Tomcat, Predator in a Viper, and Falcon in a Viper. Now you can sort this probably one of a number of ways. You could say who has the most kills, okay, who has the most kills to deaths, or who has the most kills per sortie, which, personally speaking, I think is probably the most useful metric there. So you can see every time you take an airframe up, how many enemy are you killing? You know, whether you die or whether you land, it's about killing the enemy, right? So Lucky in the Tomcat comes ahead there, 1.43 enemy aircraft every time Lucky takes off in a Tomcat. And then Predator and then Falcon coming along. And the second big takeaway here is the aircraft performance breakdown. So PTF have taken 2 Tomcats up every time they've had a round in TACT, and then 4 Vipers. So we've got an even 1/3, 2/3 split in sorties. But the Tomcat is overperforming for them. So a 40.5% of the kills fall to the Tomcats, and then less for the Vipers. So the number of deaths in the Tomcats is just slightly more than how many of them there are, and then how many are recovered, again slightly less. So they're getting more kills with the Tomcats, but recovering more Vipers.
So many good numbers. Oh, I love it.
Anything jump out at you guys here?
Well, for just everything that you're saying with the Tomcat, they found the secret formula to make this thing work. Got to see today if they can make that work against TAW.
That's it. So let's have a very quick look then at the TAW kill board. And I must, at this point, actually give a shout out to Deliberator for sending on the TAC Stinger there. A very smooth transition. Thank you very much for that, good sir. Always raising the bar. So the TAW kill board again is, I think, has some quite interesting numbers. The 3 people to look out for, unsurprisingly, given what we've said about Luminary a few times, they're coming in and just going nuts. Luminary tops probably every metric bar kill death. You know, has 11 sorties, 14 kills, 5 deaths, recovered 6 times, kill death ratio 2.8, kills per sortie 1.27. And then we've got Savior in the Hornet, similarly. So with 10 kills, kill death of 5, because Savior has taken part in far less rounds than a lot of the other members. And you can see the depth of the squadron here again. Also a few asterisks on the left-hand side, because some pilots like Frosty and Preacher split between aircraft, so their combined stats are at the bottom. Spectrum then bringing up, I think, the third in the sense of who are the top 3 to look out for. has been pretty consistent throughout TACT, and then when it comes to the aircraft breakdown, what's surprising to me here is that it feels like they had been fairly even on numbers. They've taken more Hornets. 54.5% of their sorties have been Hornets, as opposed to 45.5% being Vipers. But the Hornets have accounted for 64.7% of the kills, so they're doing much more of the killing than the Vipers. Similarly, more Hornets are landing than Vipers in that breakdown. So if the Hornets are making up 54% of the sorties but 66% of the landings, they're surviving more as well as killing more.
Yeah, don't tell anybody, but the F-18 is my favorite aircraft.
We never would have guessed about it.
Yeah, okay.
So then our final slide here, before we jump over to the match itself, is a side-by-side comparison of everything we've just talked about. So obviously with TAW having had 3 more rounds because of the qualifying match against the 14th, they have, you know, more kills and some more deaths and landings, etc. on that basis. But if you were to look at the overall kill-death ratio and the kills per sortie, PTF are ahead on both fronts. So I think what that says to me is that PTF are generally killing more in their rounds, so potentially having closer rounds where they're losing, and also having more aircraft survive where they win.
Yeah, they're kind of in all or nothing is kind of the PTF's MO.
Yeah, again, that aggression, you know, we've seen it across all those matches, and as I say, having reviewed the Tacviews, that has been the hallmark to get in there. So again, those 2 things we're going to look for here is long-range Phoenixes from the Tomcats from PTF, followed by kind of getting in there and being stuck in. And when the Tomcats get in close into that kind of, you know, 10 to 25 mile range, expect Phoenixes to get into the mix, and it makes it very hard for those defending aircraft to know is it an AMRAAM, is it a Phoenix. Similarly with TAW, you'll get a very tight setup. I'm sorry, could have caught your bullet. Very tight setup, a very organized beginning, and then it's whether they become isolated and extended or whether they keep that coordination getting into the fight. Go ahead, bullet.
Yeah, both teams use the F-16 for what it's super good at, which is its speed, and it's really a good shield. It kind of defends the other guys in the squadron. You can use it you can kill with it, but its real good thing is being able to defend against a shot that's at it. So each squadron uses the TAW uses the F-18 a little bit more for killing, and PTF uses the F-14 for its killing, and both use the F-16 for a little more defensive action, try to wear the other guys down, make them use up their missiles. So it'll be really interesting to see the dynamic between these 2.
Yeah, I think we're in for an exciting match, and hopefully everybody has a little bit of a feel for what's going to come up here as we go into it. So, we are 2 minutes past 1900 Zulu. I'm going to call this pre-game here. Thank you very much, Mr. Bullock, for joining us. I know you have to drop off at this point, so it has been a pleasure.
Yeah, speaking of pre-game, I'm going to go start my alcohol consumption and watch with the rest of my squadron, because this is just a viewing party for us, and we're going to see who we're going to battle against. So we're going to watch, and everybody, good luck, have fun.
Absolutely. So the winner of this match, of course, is going to go up against the 104th Phoenix in the final of TACT 21.1. Alrighty, so bear with us just a couple of minutes, folks. We are going to just get it connected to the servers, and then we will be live proper. I will leave you with the TACT trailer again for a moment.
Oh yeah, and the more I drink, the better these guys are going to fly.
Have a good one, sir.
You too.
Good light.
Tunnels targeted. Coming left for the shot.
Fox. Fox. Okay, flash 1 for 1. What's it? Understand your hit.
Fox.
Flash 1. Right. Take right. There's another one.
Alright folks, welcome back. We are live now. Both squadrons are on the server. They are slotted. We have some aircraft beginning to taxi. So we are going to jump right in and get ready for the match to begin. So on the right-hand side here at Vaziani, we're playing Vaziani versus Colbaletti. I believe this match was originally meant to be on the Persian Gulf, but for some issues with some of the pilots, they've decided to switch this to the Caucasus, which is cool, but squadrons are in agreement with that. So we have PTF on the right-hand side here, as I say, with Vaziani. That is 4 Vipers and 2 Tomcats. When you get a chance, Mr. Octuplefire, you might have a look at loadouts, but I would be surprised. Actually, is that a Hornet at the back?
There is a Hornet, yeah.
That, I think, is a change for PTF.
That is redline.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with PTF redline. I don't think redline has taken part in any rounds before this. I don't also believe there were any Hornets in the little breakdown we just walked through. So we've got a change already, folks. Exciting. Will it pay off? As the legendary dodgeball goes, that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it goes for them. So the left side of our split screen at Colbaletti is TAW, the Art of Warfare, and here henceforth, that's the word, we'll just be saying TAW. So I can see 4 Hornets on TAW's side and 2 Vipers. One of the Vipers at Vaziani has become a submarine. Rather hilariously. I'm not sure, is this someone about to disconnect, or is this just some massive desync that I'm only seeing here? Do you see that, Octuple? On the run with Vaziani.
I don't see anyone in the run right now. Looks all good to me.
Right. They have disappeared entirely for me now. Predator has disconnected on the red player. Red side. So that is probably going to delay our start. So we're just going to keep the cameras moving here and then get them lined up prettily on the runway. G.I. Joe 775 saying must be a dip in the runway. Black Drags is asking F-16 without missiles. That is not uncommon at this stage of the matches because it is advantageous to rearm on the runway because there's a bug with fuel tanks in the F-16 that when you start draining them, refueling will not refill them. You actually have to put them back on the airframe entirely. Alright, forgive the jittery for a moment, folks, while we get this more or less lined up. So what do you think we'll see, Octuple, after having gone through our little pre-game analysis there? Anything jumping out at you of what to expect?
Again, it's always hard to say at the early stages. I must admit, I'm not really seen TAW fly in their tactics, especially the Hornet heavy. So I've not got a lot of input, unfortunately.
That's quite alright. I think, like with any of them, there's only so much we can say beforehand, and oftentimes with those numbers, as interesting as it is, it's quite, you know, tempting and easy to over-extrapolate information from it. So everything that I've said for the last half hour, you can take with a grain of salt. It's fun. It's a little bit of background into what they've done thus far. Doesn't mean they'll do it again now. So a big shout out again there to MRCO, followed the channel a few hours ago, as did Dobber409. 104th Mogas, the admin route, also following. Thank you both very much, you're welcome along. And 104th Bullet, cheering 69 bits. I'll do my best to keep an eye on chat as we progress through this, folks, but I can't promise that I'll be on top of everything that is said. So we're in for the second semi-final here, as we've said, PTF versus TAW, and we will be with this throughout the action. I'm stealing another page from Deliberator's book in that we will be having a post-match interview afterwards, and then hopefully wrapping up with a quick Tacview analysis, just some cliff notes and things as usual. So, make yourselves comfortable, get settled in. I think we're just waiting now for Predator to rejoin. PTF Predator.
Incoming transmission.
As one of those things we have learned from the pre-game, Predator is one of those heavy hitters for PTF. Be on the lookout. Let me get this here quickly in the right order for a moment. So let's just full screen PTF and have a quick look at their roster. Lucky in the Tomcat, Falcon in the Viper, and when Predator reconnects in the Viper, those are the three big players to keep an eye out for. And if we then have a quick look at the TAW roster, we've got Spectrum in, we've got Luminary in, and there was somebody else whose name now eludes me. It was Savior, wasn't it? So we don't have Savior with us today either. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects TAW. So I see chat is just going through the refueling on the runway with the Vipers, the usual pattern we see. Misi saying cool numbers. Thank you, Misi. That took a lot longer than I would like to admit to put all that together. But I think it's, you know, I'm open to feedback on it, whether that was a good use of time or not, whether people enjoyed it or take anything from it. As I say, it was treading new ground. So it will be interesting to see whether we can expand that to do some more stuff, some more interesting pre-game stuff, or not. So yeah, let us know on the TACT Discord what you thought of that. So I think we are still waiting. Predator has reconnected, so it's back in the server a couple of minutes now. I think it's just spooling a Viper. So I think we'll be on the runway within about a minute. I think I see him in the background now, just beginning to taxi. So Octuple, if you can keep an eye on the chat, please, when they call ready to take off.
Yeah, I think they're just going to taxi. They just asked for a minute before they're ready, just so they can top up the tanks.
Yeah, not surprising that again, is it? Given what we were just saying. So how are we looking in terms of loadouts, Mr. Octuplefire? Anything interesting here?
No, it's pretty much what you would expect. Obviously, all the 18s that are in the server at the minute, they've all got the 10 AMRAM configuration.
On both sides?
On both sides, yeah. I think just redLine for PTF. He's got the 10 AMRAMs. The only interesting one I've seen is Bad Lego in the F-16. He's opted to take a single AIM-9, so he's only got the 5 AMRAMs in the F-16.
That is quite interesting. I think we've only seen that a handful of times. In going over my notes, I think, see one round for TAW where Bad Lego did that, carried a single Sidewinder. I think I incorrectly credited Mogas with the TACT 2nd last night in that match against ETF. It was a TACT 3rd, making this a TACT 4th. A Viper carrying a Sidewinder. Oh, the humanity.
And obviously the Tomcats just carrying the Phoenixes, as you would expect. 6 Phoenixes and 2 AIM-9s.
Roger that. So we're pretty standard, conservative in the loadouts here. There's nothing exotic or different. Indeed, looking over TAW's history of loadouts in the competition, I think they've generally opted for all boom, less zoom. So I think having all those AMRAMs to play with is in keeping with what we expect from them.
Right, they just called for topping up the tanks now, so they should be ready to go in about a minute.
Excellent. So you heard it there, folks. We're about a minute out from the second semi-final of TACT 21.1 going live. This is Phoenix Task Force versus TAW, The Art of Warfare. So we will have a look at this in the F10 map in a moment once all aircraft are up and airborne. But for anyone who's not familiar with the format of TACT, there is a bubble halfway between both airfields. So this is an east-west fight on the Caucasus between Kobuleti and Vaziani. The bubble itself is a 45 nautical mile radius, 90 nautical mile diameter, and the aircraft will enter and then fight it out for control of the bubble or wiping out the enemy team. If one of those two victory conditions are met, the winning team must then return to the opposing team's airfield. So what we look out for during this round is missile economy and fuel economy. Do they have the gas to make it back, and do they have the sticks towards the end of the round to win the round?
No, I think we might have connections problems with the PTF guys again.
Yeah, I see the comment, Falcon saying one of us DC, but I'm not sure if that's referring to Predator, having previously done, or whether someone else is having connection problems again. The other interesting thing actually we can take from this is that there are only 6 players connected for PTF, so there are no human Rios. These are 2 jesters in the back.
Yeah, unfortunately it goes Predator again.
So close, yet so far. So, while we wait for Predator to reconnect, let us have a look at the map and do the little talking that we were just talking through. So, this is the Caucasus. I think most people will be familiar with this. Coboletti over in the west, where TAW are taking off from. Vaziani over in the east, where PTF are based. Bullseye in the middle, so if we have a quick look there, that's about 75 nautical miles and 70-something-ish nautical miles, so roughly in the middle. On the screen here is this yellow circle that we refer to as the infamous bubble. As we say, aircraft will enter, and once they enter, they can leave, but then they cannot reconnect. Or not reconnect, re-enter again, so the fighting is expected to take place in the bubble once they enter it. Aircraft are allowed to flank. We have seen this from TAW and the... TAW have flanked inside the bubble, I should say. Dyron's flanks we referred to earlier. 64th have flanked around the outside in some of their matches, so it is allowed, and you can exchange missiles inside the bubble and outside the bubble. And the win conditions, again, is keep control of the bubble for 5 minutes. So basically, once one side enters, the other team have to get inside the bubble within 5 minutes, or it's an auto-win for the other side. That's not really going to happen, but that's how it could plan out. Or else you wipe out the opposing team's aircraft. If you have issues after you take off, you are allowed to return to base and land, provided you have not yet entered the bubble. So we saw that again in our pre-game. We were talking about TAW, where Savior got towards the bubble and a Hornet realised, I think, had INS issues and had to go back and land. And by the time Savior got back to the fight, the round was won for TAW, so thankfully for TAW in that case, it didn't impact their match. So I'm seeing the Predator is still disconnected. Hopefully we'll get back in momentarily. Let's have a quick look here. Is there anything else we can cover while we're waiting?
I'm trying to feel the time. I'm not sure if you remember from your TACT views. Do they use any kind of formations, any of these teams? Is this something they regularly do, or...?
It's a really good question. So the short answer is yes. I have seen in my Tacview analysis all sorts of staggered takeoffs from TAW, where you might have 60-second spacing, up to 2-minute spacing, up to 3-minute spacing between elements. I've seen takeoffs where they've had all their stack together. More recently, I think they've done a 6-ship, shotgun takeoff, and then approached Bulls. So if we zoom in for TAW for a second here, I'll try and talk through this. We'll see all of their elements take off, track towards the bubble, get maybe, I want to say, kind of 35 miles from the bubble, and then they'll execute some form of split. Now that split may be 3 elements go to the north, 3 elements go to the south. That might be where the rear 2 or the rear 3 pull a 360 and then they'll set up a grinder. So I've seen a 3 up 3 back grinder, I've seen a 4 up 2 back grinder. Similarly with TAW, I've seen instances where that front element do effectively like a volley shot of AMRAAMs, high and fast. Only a couple of times, mind, but if you see the Vipers up front and they're all high, say over 35,000 feet, they're all supersonic, look for like Mach 1.3, they may be lining up that sort of a volley shot just to get missiles into the enemy lines, try and break it up and see if they can cause some shenanigans.
Nice.
From the PTF side, generally speaking, we will see the Tomcats either go first or go last. I think the way they're setting up at the moment is they're trailing. So we will probably expect to see the Vipers and the Hornet breaking off into pairs, and a Tomcat kind of going, north or south, with those pairs. So it's a little bit like what ETF were doing last night against the 104th. I don't want to be too committed to that in the sense that PTF have a habit of changing it too, but certainly you will almost definitely see, I want to say Kula will launch a long-range Phoenix. I think nearly every round I've seen from PTF, you will see something like a 60 to 70 nautical mile Phoenix come out, and sometimes you will see Lucky and the other Tomcat do one as well, or oftentimes you will see Lucky do it closer as the lines begin to merge. They're also quite clever about how they launch those Phoenixes. Rarely will it be at the lead target, it'll often be at the rear elements to try and get the people who aren't expecting it. You know, and certainly going up against TAW here, most of the rounds I've seen them fly, they will execute some sort of preemptive notch to try and basically take those Phoenixes out of the game early, as in, you know, you get in the notch for a few seconds, those missiles are trashed. And as you know, Octuple, like you and I fly the Tomcat, as we tried to do last night, questionably on the 104th server. You know, it's quite easy to trash a Phoenix at long range if you know it's coming, or if you anticipate it.
Yep. Now, just seeing Spark into the server, so I think that's their replacement for Predator.
Roger. So that's unfortunate for PTF, because Predator, as we said in the pre-game, Predator has been one of the heavy hitters for PTF. Has gotten a lot of their kills. In fact, let's just quickly, since we have the time, just bring this up to see what sort of an impact might this have on PTF with this last-minute change. Spark has flown in 1 round for PTF thus far in TACT. Has died in that round, and that was it. So unfortunately, we don't know much about Spark and how this will impact in the way the game pans out. We'll have to just keep an eye. But more importantly, I think if you look at Predator's stats, there are 7 sorties. PTF have had 8 rounds total, so that's 7 out of 8 rounds Predator has been flying in. 9 kills, 3 deaths, 4 landings. Kill-death ratio of 3, kills per sortie, as I was saying earlier. I think that's probably the most important metric here. You know, if you kill 4 of the enemy and you die, that's a good round, you know. It's not necessarily that you have to bring every airframe home. If you have people doing a lot of killing but dying, that can still be really useful. 1.29, so every time Predator went up was killing 1.29 enemy jets. That's not to be sniffed at. I think there are probably a few people across all of the squadrons who will have a kill per sortie ratio over 1. Okay, I see TAW are calling ready. I think PTF... Are they on the runway again yet with Spark?
Spark just taxiing. I think PTF just called ready.
Okay, bear with. I'm going to get my cameras back in position and we will cut back away from these statistics. But I have to admit, it was nice to have them while we had the time.
Chat's getting a bit rary. Wanted to stop the
yeah.
man.
Alright, TAW are ready. PTF are ready time 6. Mr. Octuplefire, would you give them a countdown, please, while I see TAW flashing lights on the runway?
How do you normally do this? You count down.
Countdown from 5. And that's a go, go, go. We have movement from TAW at Kobuleti. We have movement from PTF at Vaziani. Second semi-final of TACT 21.1 is underway, finally. And we can see there immediately all 6 elements from TAW have gone. So no staggered takeoff there. PTF electing to do a staggered takeoff. There will be spacing here between the first and second elements. I see Breeze is asking in chat, is there a sheet like this for each team? There is not at the moment, Breeze. It was a lot of effort during the week to actually go through all the Tacviews for both teams here this evening and work that out. So we've got 3 pairs of 2 from TAW heading towards the bubble. Tomcats finally rolling at Vaziani as PTF are all getting airborne now. So the TAW flight is about 15 nautical miles from the bubble. First element of PTF, we can keep this in camera, is similarly about 17 miles from the edge of the bubble. Bullet coming in with 104 bits. Great number crunching. Thank you, Bullet. And thank you for joining us earlier for your thoughts and opinions on said numbers. So interestingly, all of PTF, at least the first two elements, are kind of taking a southwesterly cut here. They're all kind of heading about 250, so not looking to have a north-south split. One of the things I like watching, or have liked watching in those Tacview reviews of TAW, is seeing what they do when they get up to that point where they split. Because frequently you will see pairs here, but they're not necessarily the pairs that they'll end up with later. For example, all of the southern elements of these two, so for example, who's that? Bad Lego, Preacher, and Newbie 2, they may all decide to split right when it comes and turn south. You know, so they'll become the three ships. So this initial formation, you can never read too much into it from TAW's point of view. And they have a number of those different starting patterns that they like to execute. If you get a chance going back and looking at the TAC views for TAW, it's quite nice to behold. TAW Mago is asking, how do you get the airframes to look like that in F10? This is the Russian symbology rather than NATO symbology, so you get aspect on the aircraft. Which is incredibly useful when you're trying to see where everybody is and what they're doing. It's much better for this type of, you know, either being a GCI or for streaming, than just the little Western NATO-style symbol. So TAW are about to enter the bubble. We will get a message saying that it is contested. And I will guess in about 30 nautical miles, maybe less, we will see them execute whatever their opening maneuver will be. So the first PTF elements, they're all starting to separate now. They're no longer in those pairs. Two of them, redLine and Gory, are tracking north now, north-northwest. 310, probably more northwest. Tomcat's in the back, not huge distance behind, only about 7 miles for Kula. Lucky's about 9 miles. I'm going to stay zoomed in here for the TAW split. We'll see whatever they do as they get close. And then we will zoom out and go single screen for F10. So Spectrum and Bad Lego are starting a left turn there. Luminary and Preacher are already in about a 1 mile spread. Frosty Newbie 2 also kind of taking a northerly aspect. Almost looks like the beginnings of a wall setting up here. So if I were a betting man at the moment, I would say we would see 3 of those elements potentially taking a cut back for a 4-2 wall and setting up a grinder. Alright, Falcon, Spark, Gory, redLine are in the bubble. Kula has just crossed in, as has Lucky. So the beginnings of that wall from TAW, so we are going to go back to a single view here. Seeing anything interesting, Octuple?
Just noticing TAW's being like just sauntering a little bit. They've not been in burner at all that I've seen. So they've been really kind of economic on the fuel usage, whereas PTF have been in and out of the burner quite a bit, but they do have the altitude.
Yeah, it's interesting that actually, because looking at the altitudes of TAW, they're all kind of in the middle, just normal kind of middle altitudes, 21 to 25,000. They may end up getting higher, but we can see, for example, Kula at the back of the Tomcat is at 37,000 already, so I'm almost certain there will be a long Phoenix any time now. He's 63 nautical miles more or less from Preacher. And there's more or less a wall being set up here, actually, from TAW. They may yet change that. Like, we haven't seen them go into the notch yet, so I wouldn't have any faith that this is their final setup. They'll usually do some sort of north-south split before they end up in their final initial formation. Looking at Spark is at 22,000 feet, 470 k's. Falcon from PTF, 26,000 feet, 557 k's. Gory is at 26,000 feet, 580 knots, and redLine 28,000 feet, 350 knots. So pretty slow. And Lucky is slowly getting up there, 31,000, actually descending now again. Okay, there's the TAW split. We've got 4 elements cutting north, I think. Newbie 2, Bad Lego, Frosty, Preacher. Frosty's looking to turn cold now, along with Luminary. Spectrum is tracking south. Newbie 2 now turning cold, so I think we're going to see a grinder 3 up, 3 down. As we see Newbie 2, Frosty and Luminary now turning cold. So PTF have not put any Phoenixes out yet. If PTF have done their homework, they'll know that TAW do this, and those ludicrous long-range Phoenixes won't be effective. So not to say we won't yet see a long-range Phoenix, but they have actually held fire where they normally wouldn't. So it's interesting to see. How are we looking at altitudes of that setup, Octuple from TAW?
So they're still around 20,000. They're not as high as I thought they would be. Actually, a lot of them are below 20,000, 17,000 roughly. So PTF do have the will have the legs if they do shoot.
Just gonna go picture in picture here for a minute. I'm gonna keep an eye on Kula because I'm still expecting a Phoenix at some point here now that Spectrum and Co have turned hot. So we have Spectrum, Preacher, and Bad Lego all turning hot. Rear element of that grinder is now turning around. Spectrum's pretty low, 19,000 feet.
Yeah, they are all pretty low, so they're obviously doing this on purpose.
Oh, it's definitely a tactic. You can be sure of that with TAW.
Yeah.
So, in the lead, Falcon is only 18 nautical miles from Spectrum now, 24,000 feet against 15,000 feet. These are two...
120 from Preacher.
Roger that, I'm not sure. Is that going after redline? It seems to be going north.
Possibly, yeah.
Alright, let's keep an eye on that. We'll see where it ends up. I mean, if that's against redline, that's 33 miles. Redline is at 27,000 feet. Preacher's at 14 now. There goes the Phoenix from Kula. We've just caught that picture in picture. That is presumably on Spectrum at 24 miles, but it might, and again, this is kind of would be typical of PTF going after Luminary in the back. Luminary's going straight for the notch.
From Lucky there. Don't step on yet.
That's quite alright, sir.
That looks like it's going towards Bad Lego.
Roger. So we'll just keep an eye here. The Phoenix from Kula, I imagine that is against Luminary, probably about 40 miles when it was shot. Luminary went straight into the notch. This could already be dead. Kula dropping bags, I see in my second screen. So this is the Phoenix from Kula towards Luminary. I don't think that is tracking. However, we have one up north against Bad Lego that is also, looks like it's dead. So our initial engagements, first shots have been fired.
We've got 120 from redline in the north on Bad Lego.
About 15 nautical miles. We'll come away from the Phoenix because that is toast. We will ride along with this AMRAAM instead and see where that goes. I don't think it's tracking anyone at the moment. It's certainly lofting enough.
Bad Lego did just go defensive there. So I'm not sure if he actually got the warning.
Yeah, so Kula has turned cold, Spark has turned cold, Falcon is hot. 1 versus 3 there. Does not want to press hard in here. Gory is turning cold towards Lucky. There's an AMRAAM from Newbie 2, 15 miles. That won't really be a factor, I don't think. It's pretty low altitude where it was fired. So, cagey opening here.
Yeah. A nice little push from the south. There's Frosty, Spectrum and Luminary are pushing this 3-ship.
Yeah, I think TAW could actually get quite aggressive in the next few seconds. We need to see some missiles from PTF to push them off. Missile from Lucky on Newbie 2, 17 nautical miles. That's about 19,000 feet, plays 10.
Shots from Frosty and Spark and Spectrum.
Roger that. We'll ride along with that Phoenix while we zoom in here on the south. A lot of missiles in play. Spectrum opting to cut south. Luminary's done a split S and is turning. Phoenix is trashed. Some squirrels are dead. AMRAAM sent back from Newbie 2 towards Lucky, but nothing there. Amram on Spark, I want to say is starting to run out of energy. Here's the Amram here, I think that's going for the squirrels. It looks like Spark is going to be okay.
Yeah, it's getting low and dirty.
Second Amram trailing Spark. Luminary and Spectrum looking to recommit in the south. Meanwhile up north some more Amrams are being exchanged, but these are pretty low PK yet. So I think redLine has fired 2, maybe 3 Amrams. Is he being liberal with his Amrams here?
Well, he's still got 8 left. I think it's 8 left.
Oh, Roger, Hornet, of course.
Yeah.
In my mind, that was a Viper, despite reading F18. Alright, dead Amram just loitering in the south. Spark is a little bit in trouble here with Frosty and Luminary. That's 7 miles and 11. Missile out from Luminary. Spark has foxed on Frosty and is turning out. That's a good angle to turn, so that's going to put more legs on the missile. Kula with the Phoenix south against Spectrum.
Yep.
Amram from Spectrum towards Kula. Have a quick look up north. There's a few Amrams floating around. Lucky has launched a Phoenix similarly. Phoenix was tracking. He's thinking about it. It's missed.
Oh no, his Spectrum's down.
Oh, it hit! Okay. A little bit of desync. So that's the first kill of the match. Kula has gotten Spectrum. As we said, that's one of the big heavy hitters for TAW, who is out of the round. Phoenix from Lucky looks like to be getting close on Bad Lego. We're going to jump in here. I think Bad Lego has survived. We've got a Phoenix from Kula in the south against Luminary, Amram from Spark. Falcon, meanwhile, is defending from Frosty, but looks okay. Now Phoenix has got the squirrels. So what are your thoughts on what we're seeing here with the opening of the positions?
So it was a good setup by TAW, but I think that loss has left them a little bit of a gap, and the Luminary's a bit spread out there, down south.
Agreed. We're just going to follow that Amram against Kula. I think it's just gone dead, but it was getting pretty close. Yeah, that's gone now. Gory is defending in the middle, another Amram. I think that's pretty much dead as well. Bad Lego starting to defend up north. Falcon with the Fox against Luminary.
Well, Luminary can get pincered here a little bit if he's not careful.
He's probably going to walk into a Phoenix here, I think, in a second.
But
9
Falcon
miles.
and Frosty are very close as well. 6 miles.
Yeah, there's a Phoenix from Kula. Amram's exchange between Frosty and Falcon. We're going to jump in with Falcon, I think. No, that's gone. We'll jump in with Frosty. Has he found the notch?
Yeah.
And a Phoenix has just passed over Luminary. Amram going down against Kula. Spark and Falcon in the middle, regrouping.
Who I missed? I think we just missed Bad Lego going down.
Alright, we've lost Bad Lego in the north. PTF redLine in the Hornet has killed Bad Lego. Thank you for catching that. There's an Amram against Preacher. This looks dangerous. Went into some squirrels, I think. Newbie 2 and Gory are exchanging. I think Gory may come out of this the worst, so we're going to jump on there. Yeah, Gory's missile has already defeated. Falcon and Spark are slightly being pincered now, but Luminary's a Phoenix coming close. Just missed Luminary. Kula's going in for a merge, I think. It's about 3 miles out. There's the Phoenix. And there's a kill. Luminary killed with Phoenix from Kula. So I think that's 3 TAW down. We're 3 versus 4? Are we missing people?
We're missing some of the PTF. I'm looking for the logs, and I can't actually see it.
Okay, well, Lucky has just killed Newbie 2. We've had another kill. Frosty killed Spark. I think somebody else just died there. TAW are down to 2 now. So TAW looking in trouble. I'm going to have a quick inventory check with Preacher. Has 3 AMRAMs remaining, 2 heaters. Frosty and another Hornet has quite a few more AMRAMs. That is 5 and 2 heaters. So they got the sticks. Falcon, 3 AMRAMs left. Kula, that's still Falcon. Kula is Skosh, down to a heater. Gory, 3 AMRAMs, and then Lucky up north has 1 Phoenix left, 2 heaters. So both sides with the sticks here. Phoenix, AMRAM rather, from Frosty onto Kula. Let's go for some squirrels. Falcon and Frosty, that's about 7 nautical miles. Exchanging. We're going to ride along with Falcon's missile. Frosty's looking for a notch, but I don't think it's finding it. It's a missile down for Kula. And is hit! So Falcon got the kill there against Frosty. I think Kula has gone down in the south. What's happened there? Did you catch it, Octuple?
I didn't know. I'm just trying to catch up what's happening elsewhere.
Okay, Preacher with an AMRAM against Falcon. Falcon's going for the notch. And Preacher has died. So that should be round 1 for Phoenix Task Force. 3 jets still alive. Scoreboard is telling me that Falcon has 2 kills, Lucky has 1, and we may be let down by the scoreboard from, I think Kula had a couple more. At least 2 more, I think. So we're probably not getting the full gambit of 6 there. There was certainly a couple happen in the middle that we've just completely missed.
Yeah, I'll say I'm trying to write this down, and it's just missing everything, sadly.
Well, Tacview will tell all later.
Yeah, I'm just going back through the logs, just seeing who's and what I've missed.
Incoming transmission.
Yeah, so we got the first kill from Kula on Spectrum. That was the that Phoenix.
Roger.
Yeah, and then Bad Lego that killed redLine. Yeah, I'm getting all mixed up. I've got this the wrong way around. I've completely messed this up.
That's alright. Order at this stage doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll come across it later. So we have a single Tomcat Lucky surviving here with PTF. 2 Vipers, Gory and Falcon. Now, I didn't see too much by way of turning and burning that would give me reason to believe there's going to be fuel issues here. Do you think there's any reason Octuple to expect they won't make it back?
No, not at all. The PTF guys, I think they all had 3 tanks of these 16s. They were a bit more on the burner at the start, but again, so the check match has just been that short. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, well, they're only about, what, 50-ish nautical miles out from Koboledi. Tomcat's up at 27,000 feet, 570 Kaz. Gory and the Viper is up at 25,000, 440 Kaz. Falcon is climbing also. Let's have a quick look through. Not in burner, but, you know, moving. It's only 93% on the throttle here with Gory. And 97% on the Tomcat here with Lucky. So, like, gut feeling again from what we've seen. I think we've seen the Tomcats score half the kills.
Yeah.
I think Kula had 2 in the south.
Yeah, it's Kula definitely got 2. Got down. I think we're going to have to just wait for Tacview for the proper analytics.
Indeed.
So I'm just scrubbing what I've got. Obviously, I've missed so much.
I think it's fine. I mean, it happened myself and Deliberator last night. We were trying to keep track of the first semi-final, and like we were talking about in the stream, the round happened first kill to last kill in 3.5 minutes, and it was just slight chaos. You know, so totally feeling the pain there. So kills aside, and the kill order aside, you know, what do you think? Do you have any impressions of what sides did well and badly here?
Oh, initially I thought TAW was the more aggressive. They definitely were pushing them back a little bit, it seemed. I think it actually pushed them back to a bit of terrain, which they utilised. The 3 lakes just southeast of Bullseye, which were used quite heavily. And I think that initial kill on Spectrum from Kula just left that bit of a gap. I can't remember who it was down south on TAW that basically just got a bit spread out. It was Luminary, was it?
Luminary, I think, yeah, got isolated, and we had Frosty a little bit further up, I think, but then they got picked off individually. Similarly, I think at the same time, Kula got isolated in the south and then paid the price because pushed for the merge with the heaters, and
yeah.
I did enough for the team, though. We said this in the pre-game, that it's not all about kill death. You know, you can die, but if you take people with you and do the job for the side, that's more important. You know, so if Kula got a couple of kills and then managed to distract Luminary enough to be killed by someone else, that's a great round from Kula.
Yep.
Alright, so Lucky is still in the lead. We're not seeing any formatting here, so I'm very disappointed. As has just been said in the chat, I see Full Metal Cookie. Welcome, Cookie. I think I'm right in saying this is 14th Cookie. TAW always lose the first round, no problem. Indeed, we'll be having a look in the interlude here between rounds again at the road to semi-final for both teams, just to see that pattern. Those matches where TAW have lost rounds tends to be the first round. I think they've done it 3 times in the competition so far and come back to win rounds 2 and 3. So the fact that PTF have won this does not by any means rule out a comeback from TAW. So TAW obviously set up that initial grinder. It's one of those situations where it's difficult, from my memory certainly at the minute, to see was it effective, was it not. Yeah, I think there was a moment in the south, as you called out, Octuple, where we had 3 TAW pushing in, and I feared a little bit for the PTF guys being isolated and picked out, but didn't seem to manifest. What happened?
I think, as I said, I think it was that terrain. I think they just were able to get behind the terrain, lose the line of sight, and we're just kind of lobbing AMRAMs over at these close ranges, I think 10 to 6 miles.
Yeah, it's a good shout, because, you know, it's difficult to see from F10, but there is some varied terrain down here. Like these white peaks we see in this satellite view, they're about 9,000 feet. Down in the valleys, you're about 6,000 above sea level. So you've got a little bit of altitude to play with, a little bit of hills, valleys, and squirrels. Forgive me for going altitude here for a moment, but you can see the relief of the terrain, I think, more easily in this view. But you know, it's hard to pick up live in the match. I think we'll see more of it later in the Tacview analysis. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's indeed how it has panned out. Lucky now is 8 nautical miles out. Let's get on board with Lucky and have a look at the camera at Gobeletti. I'm expecting them to come straight in here, or going to an overhead for whatever runway number that is. 25 maybe? It's a while since I've actually departed Gobeletti. Having a read through chat here, some of the comments. Marco is coming in saying that now that they're against the wall, we can expect TAW to bring out the harpoons. Certainly off-the-wall tactics are not unknown to TAW. Gib is saying Tomcat higher PK front plus side aspect combo pincers won the round. There was some good coordination there, I think, from the PTF elements in utilising the position they had. Alright, let's get into split screen here for the landing. We're expecting Lucky to be the first one down. Pexi says, only sparrows and aim 9 lemurs. I think an 80s style tournament would be quite fun. You're certainly a fan of that, Octuple.
Yeah, I am. Although I wish the sparrows are a bit more reliable. They are easily thrown out.
Yeah, they certainly don't. They don't perform as we would expect or like, do they?
No.
But who's to know? We might have all sorts of things appear in TACT yet. The competition, this is of course the first iteration of TACT, so we could see anything happen yet. Roofy says, dude's got gas for an overhead. So yeah, fuel certainly wasn't an issue then. Deliberator PTF will have won this round once we get wheels on ground and we don't have a fence in. We're just catching one of the Vipers there. I think that's Gory going overhead with a flare. Well, there is the Tomcat on deck at Gobeletti. We'll reposition the camera to try and catch those landings a little bit closer to where they put down. So that looks pretty in control to me, so that is the first round to PTF. Let's see how the other two are doing. Gory is starting a long final here. Of course, we talk about this quite a bit with TACT, and you know, at risk of repeating myself from many of these streams at this point, this downtime is quite useful for the other side. They will have a lot of opportunity here to be talking over what happened during the round, what went well, what didn't, and more importantly, what they will be doing for the next round. Alright, this is Gory, just on short finals, over the threshold. Little bounce. And down. Alright, second bird on deck, and the third one. Falcon coming in. So I'll check at the scoreboard again. Falcon had 2 kills in this round, so like we said in the pre-game, we think Kula had 2 kills. Possibly, maybe a third, I don't think so. Falcon had 2, but I think there were 2 of the heavy hitters we were looking at. Although that may have been Lucky, but Lucky came away with a kill. Need to check my notes quickly here.
Incoming transmission.
Yes, there we go. We have the technology. We can kind of get it into picture here. So we have, that is Lucky at the top, who had 10 kills. So yeah, Kula with 6 prior to this. So both of them coming away again with more. Falcon with 2 more to add to that 8 coming into this round. And that is all 3 ships landed. So with that, we will cut back to this while we wait for the server to restart. That will be taken down now in just a minute. And we'll be back then for round 2 of the second semi-final of TACT 21.1 PTF versus TAW.
Shuttles targeted. Coming left for the shot.
Okay, flash 131. Just forcing it. Understand your hit. Fox. Flash 1. Right. Take right. Merge. There's another one! Bingo.
Alright folks, we are back. Servers has been restarted. Squadrons are joining for round 2 of this semi-final. Before we get into the fight though, we're going to have a little look back over this road to semi-finals we talked about in the pre-game from TAW, because there's a really interesting point that was raised in stream chat that I think is pertinent here. If you have a look at the rounds where TAW had losses, or the matches where TAW had losses, so I'm looking at the Group I match versus Harpia, the qualifying match versus the 14th, and the quarterfinals against Bravo, it was always round 1 that they lost. So again, like we were saying in the match proper, don't rule TAW out here. They have a habit of coming back and pulling something out of the bag. So this is far from done. And just because we have them to hand, we'll have a look at them again. So we have the TAW kill board here. So we were calling out before the match started that the 3 names to look out for were Luminary, Savior and Spectrum. Savior rather isn't with us this evening, but certainly Luminary was dealt with early on in the south. I don't have it to hand whether he had a kill or not, but you know, that sort of early removal of Luminary doesn't bode well for TAW. From the review and pre-game we talked about earlier, several of those matches they were in, Luminary went on a bit of a rampage at the end to pull out a win. So having him out of a round early takes again a kind of a big gun out of the arsenal for TAW. And then because we do have 2 squadrons here, this is the PTF state. So this is not updated with current kills, this is from before the match started. And those 3 names to look out for again, Lucky, Predator and Falcon. Predator was in initially, had connection issues, so had to be replaced at the last minute by Spark. But Lucky and Falcon did feature heavily in that round. Kula also in the Tomcat, we believe had 2 kills in the south. So the Tomcats again being a big part of PTF's game plan and arsenal.
Yeah, saying that, I think we have Predator back.
Oh,
The Predator there?
Yeah, it was Spark in the first round, replacing Predator because of connection issues. But you are right, good sir. It does look like we have Predator back, so if the connection holds up, this could be good for PTF. If the connection drops and we get a disconnect, that again is as good as a death for PTF, so it's a risky move.
Yeah, hopefully he's got that issue sorted.
Alright, so we are live now. Split screen here again. This is PTF on the left side at Kobaleti, TAW on the right side at Vaziani. Do you see any changes in loadouts or aircraft composition, Octuple?
Not at the minute, still waiting for one on PTF. I believe, who was it that took the AIM-9? It was Badalega, wasn't he? He's gone full AMRAM now, so he did take an AIM-9 before, but double check that, make sure I'm not lying. If I can find him.
It's always difficult sometimes, you need to find something in a hurry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just AMRAMs.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's just got AMRAM, so he's not took that AIM-9 on this round.
Right, so that was bad Lego. The M9 I'm imagining did not come into play, as it I don't think has come into play for any Viper who has carried it thus far. But it's nice that people are trying. I think we have to appreciate the effort. There's a saying we have at home: God loves a trier. So we're just following the Kobaleti jets. You should be able to, if you could please, Octuple, give TAW the go ahead to taxi. PTF again are ignoring request to hold until we can get them both moving, but that's fine. Their heads are where they need to be. Did you catch that, Octuple?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Just making sure I'm talking the right thing. I'm just having that issue where I can't actually get the chat up.
Oh, it's annoying, isn't it? The way I've discovered the bug to be is if whatever the last chat is you brought up, for example, if the last one you brought up was all chat, use the keybind for team chat, and then swap it. Vice versa then, so if you had team chat last, then you bring up all chat. It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's good old ED though, isn't it? Keeping us on our toes.
Just making sure I'm not messing anything up. I was just giving something waypoints then.
Roger.
Should be
Hopefully it's
okay.
not an E3.
Yeah.
I did that once myself while I was GCIing in a 104th event, I think it was, a Cold War F5 versus MiG-21. And whatever way the slots were set up, you were able to move waypoints, and I was trying to click on the AWACS and look at an external shot and managed to give it a waypoint to land at the airfield or to orbit the airfield at 300 feet. So if you wouldn't mind, keep an eye on that.
Yeah. No.
If anything goes wrong, we can get them to restart the round, but...
They're still on their tracks.
Good. Yeah, it was
Yes.
very confusing when it happened to me. Alright, forgive the camera juggling here, folks, trying to get them to line up more or less alongside. So I do only see 5 PTF on the runway. I think Falcon's just rejoined.
Yeah, Falcon's just slotted in now, so we'll be hopefully taxiing shortly.
Roger that. So while we're waiting here, there are a couple of notes I have for TAW, individual squadron members. So I think I'm right in saying these are the correct pilots, but if you wouldn't mind just double checking me, Octuple, that I'm not missing someone. So first off is Spectrum, from the UK, joined TAW in June 2019, when started playing DCS. Can't decide between the 16 or 18, but the Eurofighter Typhoon will definitely be the one. I think that's Spectrum and half the community. Has a note here that Preacher and Spectrum both joined the fighter squadron from the Strikers together in May 2020, and their first ever sortie after transitioning saw them having a friendly mid-air collision during a BVR engagement. What a debut! Then we have Frosty, just a couple of notes here, just saying the Frosty is from Germany, has been with TAW for 2.5 years. Next up then is Preacher, from Austria, a total of 2 years with the fighters, 1 year with the Hornet and A-10. Flew the A-10 before and got annoyed at F-18s being at the AO 30 minutes earlier, so switched! And the note again with Preacher is also the mid-air ... So I imagine there's a lot of humour around that within TAW. Next up in the list here is Luminary, from the UK, has been with TAW for 5 months. Mirage and Hornet, our preferred aircraft. Has the most kills out of the TAW team in the competition. I think that tallies with the stats I was just showing. Then we got Newbie 2, lives in Denmark, 1,476 days in TAW. That's a very precise length with Squadron, thank you for that, Newbie 2. Prefers to fly the Hornet, fun fact, probably the first to eat a missile on the TAW side, and the Tacview will have to tell us that. The last up then is Bad Lego, so from Germany, 2.5 years in TAW. The name Bad Lego comes from mishearing the lyrics to the song from the Wu-Tang Clan, Gravel Pit. Not sure what lyrics there is being referred to. So those are the 6, Octuple. Has anyone I missed?
No, go on.
Excellent. Okay, so we're still waiting for Falcon. I think I see Falcon taxiing in peripheral.
Yeah, it's just started moving.
So other than Bad Lego's AIM-9, we've no other changes of configuration, aircraft type, anything of note?
No. Just double checking now, and oh, we just lost Predator.
Okay, so we're going to be on a stand down here, folks. Again, I suspect one of two things will happen: either Predator will give that one more go, or PTF will get sparked back in pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they'll just put Spark straight in if he's having these issues, because this happens in the air.
Yeah, as we say, like that's 3 disconnects I think from Predator, and if that happens in the air, that's going to be a huge detriment to them. Yeah, it's a big advantage if they get Predator in the air, mind, and with a stable connection because of the scores and whatnot we were talking through a few minutes ago. But obviously, if you're taking a risk, then it's one of your big names and big scorers versus connectivity. You're risking that DC. So again, just while we're waiting now for a few minutes, that is the PTF kill board we're just alluding to. So the decision that PTF have to make now again is about whether they try to get Predator back in. Of course, Predator has that just before the semi-finals. All these stats are, they've not been updated for the round we just had. Predator with the kills per sortie 1.29, kill death ratio 3.0, 9 kills in 7 sorties, 3 deaths, 4 landings. So getting a lot of the kills. And then Lucky, as we said earlier, in the Tomcat, being the most prolific killer for PTF, and Falcon then being the next in the sense of those 3 as highlighted. And we'll leave this up on screen just for a couple of minutes because I think we'll probably be at least, I want to say 2 or 3 minutes before we're ready for the next round, because even if they get the next player in, it will take a few minutes to spool and line and everything else. We will swap over to the TAW kill board again so that people can have a look at that too. Anything in this one, Mr. Octuple? Well, it should be on the stream post delay now if you have that next to you. That would jump out at you in terms of PTF's kills to date in the squadron composition.
Let's have a little scan of this again. No, I think everything you've already covered, I believe, earlier about the F-14s, just having a bit lower kill to death ratio, but
feel free to reiterate it. Not everybody who's watching now will have seen the pre-game that we did earlier, so I think it's worth reiterating some of these points for all of the audience.
Yeah, so Lucky with a decent kill to death ratio. Did he get a kill in the last round? I can't even remember.
I think
now.
Lucky had 1 and Kula had 2.
Yeah, no, definitely Kula had 2. But yeah, they're definitely game changers. They do get people that, I'm not sure if it's just because they're not expecting them or they go for the notch. They do kind of throw the other teams out. I've noticed in previous games.
Yeah, again, like in this last week, I reviewed a lot of the Tacviews to put together these stats. And I see the Tomcat being used 2 ways by PTF. One is the early long-range Phoenix on the way into the bubble and, trying to catch someone out. And like we said in the ingress there with TAW, they tend to, in nearly every round where there's a Tomcat, do a preemptive notch. So I think PTF were wise to that and didn't throw one out. But the other way they use them is when you get in close. It's like 20-25 miles, they might be on the periphery of a fight and throw a Phoenix into it, while the other person is like dealing with the 10-mile Hornet or 10-mile Viper and having to, get 2 vectors. So when it gets in that close, you just don't know. Is it an AMRAAM? Is it a Phoenix? You just have an
Yeah. Exactly, and especially if they're manoeuvring and you can't find that notch, or see because your RWR is throwing it off angle slightly during the turn, you need to kind of sit almost a few seconds to get that accurate heading.
Yeah. I think the other way that I see that mid-range Phoenix playing out is that I can see it kind of having mind games almost with the pilot who's defending. I just see it, by the way, in the background. Predator has reconnected, so they're taking a roll of the dice here. We'll see if Predator can stay connected up till round start this time. But it's, if you imagine that you are going up against the nearest bandit to you is an enemy Viper at 10 miles, and you're focused on that Viper at 10 miles. You've already sorted through the contacts. Next thing you see a missile coming in, like unless your SA tells you that that's a Tomcat in advance, and you're already thinking there's a Phoenix potentially, your decision, whenever you see that missile coming in, your decision is right. Do I notch or do I turn cold? And so much of the time, it's a kind of a coin toss, or split-second decision of notch or die, or I have time to turn out. And if it's a Phoenix, and you're expecting, well, there was nobody within 10 balls, so that's an AMRAAM, I could probably turn away, and you elect to turn away, you're probably dead. So I can imagine there's a lot of kind of, you know, mind games at play there.
Yeah, there's not a limit on which Phoenixes they can take, is there? Because if they can see the smoky Phoenix, and notice this they use the Bravo variants.
So you can use any Phoenix you wish, and typically I have seen the Tomcats of PTF taking both Alpha Mark 60s and Charlie Mark 47, so they take the Smoky and the Smokeless, just to further mess with your head.
Yeah.
I've also just swapped over here to the TAW kill board, which will come out to stream in a couple of moments, so that we can have a look through of their breakdowns as well.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing you pointed out earlier is how the F-18 is actually the big dog in terms of kills.
Yeah, that surprised me. Honestly, like I thought the Hornet was like the black sheep of the competition compared to the Vipers these days, just in popularity and effectiveness. But for TAW, at least, looking at those stats, you know, they account for 54.5% of the aircraft they launch, but they account for 64.7% of the kills and 66.6% of the landings. So they're overperforming in terms of kills and surviving.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's just because they can carry so many AMRAAMs, or they just keep them in the back as that kind of backup, while we have the F-16s out front doing their fast manoeuvring and high Gs.
Yeah, I just see Mago here throwing out a fish there. Again, the stats must be wrong. It can't be being said. And I will throw out a caveat that I've made best efforts and spent a lot of time trying to make sure these are correct, but there is going to be a grain of salt with them, and they may be one or two off or a few off, you know. As I said, take them with a grain of salt, but I think they're as accurate as I can make them on the time I put in.
Right, so just going back to the game, they're just topping off their tanks now.
Roger that.
We do also have Spark on standby, just in case Predator leaves again. That's TAW ready, just waiting for PTF.
Roger that. Let us jump back then to the game. At some point this evening, there is going to be a second round.
Okay, I'm going to... That's PTF ready, I'm going to do the countdown.
Thank you, sir. Alright, all 6 elements of TAW are launching again. Not surprised in terms of the formation. Mago has replied in chat, it's all good, the stats just hit him with the harsh reality again. So the first 2 elements of PTF have rolled and are taking off. The second element, the Viper, has rolled. The Hornet has not. Now starting to roll.
Yeah, they're doing a bit of a shotgun, I've noticed.
And there go the Tomcats from PTF at the back. So what we've seen here is Spark connected just in case of a last disconnect, but has now disconnected as the spare player. That means that Predator is in the air for PTF. How long Predator remains in the air is probably anyone's guess. Let's hope for everybody's sake and the sake of the match that Predator has a good connection this time. So quite a loose-looking formation here from TAW. It's more of a kind of a rabble than a formation or elements this time. So same type of setup from PTF, I think. Are you seeing anything different here, Octuple, in setups?
No, PTF doing the same sort of similar thing. We'll see how it takes shape once they're in the air properly.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay in the split screen here as they approach the bubble. Another tool and trick from Deliberator's toolkit that I'm going to nick for this this match. I've said it before, I'll say it again, that man raises the bar on the coverage of these TACT matches, so big credit to him. So TAW are currently 9 nautical miles from the bubble. How far out are PTF, Octuple?
PTF. So I'm looking at TAW at the same time. So these guys are only 10 miles.
Right, so pretty much the same distance out. TAW again are pretty low, kind of 18,000 feet. They're not entering the bubble high. Yeah, what do you think TAW have to do here? Is there anything you'd expect them to see, or?
I'm curious whether they would have used the same kind of terrain they PGF used last time. I'm just waiting to see if they just do the same kind of line formation.
Yeah, it's hard to predict with TAW what they'll do in terms of these initial setups. Like we said in the pre-game, there's probably 4 or 5 different variations that they have trained, and you can see it from the way they execute it, that it's definitely trained and trained well.
Yeah.
The grinder certainly didn't seem to do it for them last time, so I suspect we'll see something different.
Yeah. Again, I'll say I kind of missed the last round, how it kind of ended. But initially, they did have a good push.
Yeah.
And they definitely didn't seem at a disadvantage.
If I were to take a guess at a summary or a synopsis of that first round, like we were doing for the other matches and other rounds, I would say TAW got isolated. You know, their aircraft, you had individuals who just kind of got picked apart. You know, it wasn't cohesive the way that they can fly, and probably will fly this time indeed. Alright, both sides are in the bubble. If you could do me a favour, Octuple, and just talk us through altitudes and speeds of various components there.
Yep, so PTF are all above 20,000. I think Tomcats again look like they're going high and fast. Still just climbing at the minute. And as the last game as well, seen TAW guys not as high, but they're all just around 20,000.
Roger. So still...
Yeah, so with the exception of Bad Lego and Spectrum, which are 25, but it's very much similar to what we saw last game.
Yeah, as we say, I think we're, 35 miles. Any time now we'll see TAW adopt whatever their formation will be for the round. And they'll... I would expect to see them do another north-south split. All of their opening maneuvers seem to involve that preemptive notch as they take the shape. Again, it's pretty cool to behold if you get a chance to look back on Tacviews and see through them.
Yep.
Alright, so...
starting to take shape, and just saying Bad Lego and Spectrum are kind of formatted. I'm not sure. I think it goes to centerline tanks for TAW.
I wouldn't expect them to be formatted for too long. They'll probably split when they make this cut. We're riding along picture in picture, by the way, with Kula in the Tomcat. If history tells us anything, Kula will probably be the first early Phoenix. Certainly was in the last round.
Yeah, so both the F-14s above 30,000 now.
Yeah, Kula's at 35,000, 540 Kaz. Lucky is at 31,000, 520 Kaz. How are we looking with the Vipers up front?
So they're about 10 miles, maybe slightly less, about 8 miles in front. 26,000.
Okay, so they're not going stratospheric either.
No. TAW are about the same as well, about 26, 27,000.
Yeah, they're only 20 miles from Bulls now. This feels like quite a late move, but I'm seeing TAW breaking now, so they're adopting their formation. Spectrum, Frosty, and Preacher have all broken south.
Maybe 2 doing a split S. Losing that altitude.
Spectrum's going north now, actually. It's worth pointing out, by the way, when you have this sort of a group coming in and you're trying to sort, from the PTF side on the targets, it's quite difficult to pick out who you're looking for, and then when they start changing directions, having to resort again. It pretty much kind of breaks down that initial sorting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just seeing if they did this on purpose. Like Newbie 2's just dived down to 14,000. Bad Lego's about 18 now, so they're all just basically changing directions, changing altitudes. I'm not sure if this is just to kind of throw them off, keep them confused, or
it's absolutely deliberate. I think we can expect, they're predicting if they throw out a long Phoenix, they're trying to get down into thick air. They're not giving the Phoenix the advantage of being up in the thin air. Like we did see Kula, just looking at picture-in-picture, descend. He's down at 26,000 feet now. Has elected, I think, not to launch an early Phoenix, but it's not to say we won't see one at about 40 miles or so. So we will park Kula for a moment.
Incoming transmission.
And it looks like we have a grinder again. 3 up, 3 back from TAW. Spectrum, Preacher, Bad Lego, and UB2 Frosty Luminary, front and back. PTF, meanwhile, there's a Viper in front and then 2 in the rear. Falcon and Gory up front, about 12 miles. We've just had a Fox come off from Kula. Should have kept him in picture. But there is a missile away. Let's ride along with that and see where it goes. So that may not be going for Spectrum. In fact, that may be going for Frosty in the back. They do like to favour the second element when launching these Phoenixes. That'll be about 45 nautical miles. Because just as Frosty turns hot, he probably has at least 15 miles more to run. So we'll see where it's going. The missile's down 23,000. I think it's actually going for Spectrum. Yeah, that was tracking Spectrum. Spectrum's trying to notch it. Amram out
got and one from the back from redLine. That's quite a long 25-mile shot. Let's see how this Phoenix does.
We're going to jump in with Spectrum here. Just went for the notch early. The missile's looking for him. Not sure if it's caught him or not. Oh, we can see him. Missile is trashed. Doesn't have the energy. But it did track him. Just off the tip of the missile now is Spectrum.
We've got another Phoenix off from Lucky.
Roger. Any idea who that's going on to?
It looks like Preacher or Frosty. Okay. Say at the minute.
So 32 miles if that is Frosty. Frosty's at 22,000, starting to defend. That's an Alpha Mark 60, so smoke. Fox from Luminary in the north. Bad Lego's running from an Amram. I think that's defeated.
Yeah, it's a slow one. It's probably just giving him the warning.
Alright, so we'll ride along with Lucky's Phoenix this time. There's an Amram going for Predator in the north. But I think that is defeated. So, what's our guess? Preacher, Frosty?
I think it's probably... I don't know. I think it's dead now, isn't it? It's probably on Preacher, just from where the angle was.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, Amram in the south. We'll jump in with that, so we have something there to follow. Return from Newbie 2. I'm not sure if that's tracking Bad Lego. It doesn't look very fast at the moment. It's losing a lot of its speed. So we're going to hide that again. So we've got 2 elements of TAW in the south, the Newbie 2 and Bad Lego, facing off against 3 PTF. And then 4 TAW up, middle and north against 3 PTF. So there's a numbers game for TAW in the north, if they can press it. Falcon and Luminary, 11-mile trade, Amrams. Gory and Co in the south with some more. Okay, none of these are looking too dangerous at the moment. Still with me, Matt?
Yeah, Just looking at how this formation's. I'm just seeing if TAW can press this northern group. Because there is a bit of a gap now. I figure Bad Lego and Newbie too can kind of keep these three down south occupied.
Yeah, they definitely have the numbers if they can take advantage of it.
There's another Phoenix out from Kula, possibly on Spectrum.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is tracking that way.
And as I say that, Lucky's also shot one at Newbie 2 in the south.
Spectrum has turned cold from this Phoenix. This could be dangerous.
There's a 5-power AMRAAM from Predator as well on Luminary. Might be in danger.
Right, we're going to jump in with Luminary here. Keep us apprised of that Phoenix, please.
Yeah. Yeah, Spectrum might be in trouble if he doesn't notch this. He's turning back into it though.
You can see the Phoenix passing over Spectrum.
He just lost someone in the south. Lucky just got that Phoenix shot onto Newbie 2.
Okay, so TAW have lost an aircraft in the south. So Bad Lego and Newbie 2 weren't able to hold off the lines. So Phoenix from Lucky. Lots of missiles being exchanged now at the moment. Predator is running coal from about 3.
Frosty might be in danger. No, it's just in the mountain.
Alright, Preacher and Luminary should be careful for another mid-air there. They're quite on top of each other. Gory, Lucky, redLine in the south for PTF, pushing Frosty and Bad Lego.
Yeah. Like the cut front doors collapsing a little bit on the south. It's starting to get around them. A 10-mile shot from redLine onto Frosty.
And Frosty's sending one out, I think, towards Lucky.
Another Phoenix from Kula as well on the north. Well, I've just seen that disappear straight away. I think it went into the mountain.
I think Kula's going to be in trouble here from
Yeah.
that AMRAAM. And down, we've lost Kula. So that's a big kill for TAW.
It's a 50. Frosty might be in trouble here.
I think we've lost somebody else.
Yeah, Frosty just got hit by Lucky. He was trying to run away from a Phoenix.
I think we lost someone on top of that. We're down to 3 TAW and 5 PTF. Well, let's just stick with what's happening. Falcon is in trouble here. Spectrum with a very close AMRAAM. 4 miles. We've got a trade from Predator and Preacher. Okay, Predator looks okay. Preacher looks okay. Spectrum is still alive. I think Predator is going to press there. TAW have lost somebody in the south. redLine has killed Bad Lego. So this is looking bad for TAW now. There's 2 TAW left. 4 PTF up. 4 versus 2. Spectrum really needs a kill here.
Yeah,
5
4
mile, this could be
mile
a
shot.
trade.
Yeah.
We're riding along there with somebody's missile.
There's Predator and Spectrum's
Spectrum's
dodged it.
missile, and Spectrum has lived. That's a big kill for TAW. So we're 3 versus 2. Preacher really needs to stay alive here and regroup with Spectrum.
Preacher's firing all the AMRAAMs.
Has Preacher got many left?
He's only got the one left now. Just fired 3. And he's just died. I think he might have G'd out. He just hit the ground.
Oh, so TAW are down to 1 now. As we see a Phoenix tracking up from the south from Lucky. We will get on with that. This could be the end for TAW here. If this can manage to clear the squirrels... No, that was probably on whomever it was that just died, Preacher. Oh, this round has been chaos.
Yeah. He's still got 2 AMRAAMs left, Spectrum, so he still has a chance. It's not all over.
Not a great one, you'd feel.
redLine's got nothing left other than name 9s.
Roger. AMRAAM out from Gory, 14 miles. So this is going to be pushing Spectrum defensive. So we're picture-in-picture with Spectrum here.
There's an aim 9 from redLine.
Roger, roger.
Doesn't look like it's tracking there.
No, AMRAAM from Spectrum looks to be going back against Gory. I was half expecting a gimbal shot against redLine there. Spectrum looks to be heading down into the valley.
Oh, it's a 54
That's
out.
a kill!
Oh, that's a kill, yeah.
Yeah, Gory is
There's
down.
a friendly fire on redline. Oh no, that's gone
Just
over his
missed.
head. He needs to notch this Phoenix. I'm not sure if he knows it's a Phoenix.
I think it's going for squirrels. I think it has found squirrels. Redline is in behind Spectrum right now, so this is really tough for Spectrum. Remember, Spectrum pulled out a win like this for TAW in their first round match against Harpia, but probably had a better setup than this, to be fair, so this is more...
That is Lucky's last Phoenix as well. He's just fired.
Okay, so we've got a Phoenix out from Lucky on Spectrum. We'll see if Spectrum can notch this and just bleed them out. So that's the last active in play from PTF. That Phoenix is dead. Alright, so we're down to heaters. There's an Amram on Lucky. M9's from Lucky. That's about 3 miles. Lucky's gonna die. Lucky is dead. 1v1. Spectrum versus redline. Will the heater hit? No. Redline in behind Spectrum. M9.
What was this going to reach? Does this have the legs? Ah, it does.
So that is the last kill of the round and of the match. If Redline has the fuel to make it back now, that will be round 2 for PTF. So we just caught that in split screen to catch the M9 off the Hornet for Redline. As you say, it did have the legs to catch Spectrum. And we are left with one surviving member of PTF. PTF Redline in the Hornet. Has to recover now to where? Vaziani, I think, is it?
Vaziani, yeah. Got an 85-mile trip.
Ooh.
I'm curious about the fuel now, because they only took the single tank.
Oh, they went for all boom, less zoom.
And he is a low throttle setting, so he's obviously got additional concerns.
Yeah, just noticed that. 69% RPM at the moment. 8 degrees pitch. He's 235 knots and slowing. 8,000 feet. This is not looking good for Redline. No. Remember, folks, if Redline does not successfully land at Vaziani, this round will be a draw. So this is not yet one for PTF. In fact, it's looking like this is not going to be a round for PTF and it'll end in a draw. Unless Redline starts giving us some indications that he has. He's actually turning north now.
Yeah.
170 knots. Lighting the burners. If you got fuel issues, that's risky.
Yeah. I'm not sure where he's going either. Is he, might be a draw at this state. Or do you think someone's still alive?
It was Kobaletti PTF took off from, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the blue AWACS is on the west.
Roger,
So he needs to head east.
See that? Yeah. Blue AWACS is somewhere. It's over here. So that means Redline is going in the wrong direction now, folks. This is looking more and more like it's going to be a draw. And that means we're going to go for round 3. Round 3 will either then see PTF win 2-0 or TAW tie the game 1-1, and it will come down to kill death in the match to decide an event of a draw. I don't think we've actually seen one of those happen in TACT so far. So Rufus is asking why RTB, as in why is he RTBing now, or why do we have the rule to go to the enemy airfield? If you could clarify there, please, Rufus.
It's back to about 68 RPM, so
he's still going the wrong direction.
Yeah. I'm confused.
I'm terribly confused. If anyone in chat knows what the hell Redline is doing, please let us know, because the two of us here are pretty confused.
He's turning around again now. The team's shouting at him.
He's only down at 160 knots, though.
Yeah.
So clarifying for Roofies as saying, yeah, but the other team is dead, so still win, right? That is no. You have to land at the enemy airbase, Roofies, to claim the win. That is to ensure that you're not just going in there afterburner all the time. You need to land at the enemy airfield to, have that fuel economy as part of the balance that you're trying to, figure out as part of the competition. So he's starting to turn back towards Vaziani. Still 190 knots, 80% RPM. He's up 17,000 feet, but descending. Jumper is on the edge of his seat. Nerves? He's going the wrong way.
So he needs a heading of 095?
He's currently at 095. So he's just turned back around to the right way.
Yeah.
Maybe he has tons of fuel, and he's doing this
Maybe.
just to, like, you know, just take the piss out of everybody and go, ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Or is legitimately lost and has fuck all fuel, and we're going to see it round 3. I mean, either case, right?
Yeah.
Maverick's in chat. Hello, Maverick. Not like this, bro. Not like this. Oh my god.
Maverick screaming about these twin pylons as well. I think he was screaming the other day when I was watching him. That he could dump these pylons.
Yes, this is one of the pet hate for everybody who's watching. If you fly a Hornet, jettison your pylons when they're empty. I'm not a Hornet expert, but even I know this. Maverick shouts about it a lot, so listen to him. He is the Hornet expert. Bullet shouts about it a lot. He's a Hornet expert. I think they say they'll get you up to about 40 knots per pair that you jettison. So basically, redLine is making his life more difficult for himself here by not cleaning up the jet, and is back in burner. So again, may either have tons of fuel or fuck all fuel. We are 83 nautical miles out from Vaziani. So, more confirmation if we needed it that Blue has controlled the battle area for 5 minutes. That's the second win condition of the 2. They had already met the one of wiping out the opposing team already, so that's moot. redLine did not need to stay in the bubble for that time. That's just a buy-in chance. Jumper reckons that redLine is trolling the chat. Mago's backing us up, he's just teasing TAW. It's remarkable though, speaking of those pylons, how many Hornet drivers we see in TACT who aren't doing that. Like, in fact, I would say, you know, not having done the numbers, but I would say it's quite almost rare. I would guess 20% of the Hornets I've seen have cleaned the pylons. Maybe 2 squadrons I'm thinking of. Beef is in chat. Welcome, Beef. Snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. Jumper, 1 bag? This has to be close. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, he's cruising again at that 70%.
Like, he was down low when he was Scosh. He had the 2 heaters and he was trying to get in behind Spectrum, if I remember. Spectrum was the last one, I think, for TAW. So he was going to be using fuel. You know, he was probably in burner for a bit. I wasn't following him for long. There go the pylons. Somebody is now shouting at redLine to clean up the jet. It's like he can hear us. So yes, I imagine that redLine had been using the burner, and probably more than we've seen of other aircraft in terms of, you know, having more fuel issues at this point than, for example, PTF in the first round. You know, there was no turning and burning. We were pretty confident they'd make it back, and they did. But turning around low altitude, low speed in the wrong direction for a while means this feels like it's. Look at the speed, 145 knots.
Yeah, 140. Just watching the flats come down, just imagining all that drag.
No Wheels is in chat. Welcome, No Wheels. Good to see you. Saying he is a troll and he's doing a damn good job. Well, put it to you this way, No Wheels, that if it was just a simple RTB, it would be very dull and boring, wouldn't it? So if he's making us get to the edge of our seats, then sure. Wiley's in chat. Nice to see you, Wiley, saying he's fucking with us. I think at this stage that's possible. Brickshot reckons this ain't gonna end well. Burner in again. I mean, he has to be fucking with us if he's in and out of burner and bringing the flaps down. So I think at this stage we can say gut feeling is he's going to make it back, is fucking with everybody, and well done if so. If you troll Maximus Lazarus is mad. I think fair play. Whereas if it's not a troll and he's genuinely, you know, doing this well. Let's have a quick check-in. Has only gone about 20 miles since we last checked, so there's about 62 miles left.
Okay, yeah.
Losing speed again, down to 300 knots. So either has tons of gas and is fucking around with us, or is... God knows. So, if anyone's just joining us, where the fuck have you been? But this is the second semi-final of TACT 21.1. The winner of this match will face the 104th Phoenix in the final next weekend, and the loser of this match will face Eclipse Task Force in the 3rd to 4th place playoff on Saturday next weekend. Final will be Sunday, both I believe 1900 Zulu. So, PTF versus TAW. PTF won the first round, 1-0. So this is round 2. I did not update my scoreboard for that. Apologies, let's correct that. This is round 2. PTF have 1 aircraft left after killing the last TAW pilot Spectrum, and is currently making heavy weather of getting back to Vaziani. Jumper says this is the longest Edge of the Sea Tour TV I've ever watched. Mango asked, wasn't he also the new guy coming in for Predator? No. I think, oh, maybe. I thought Spark was the one who came in.
Spark was the Predator.
Yeah,
That's
so
his replacement.
Predator was in this round, so Spark had dropped off again. So this is... this is redLine, who was in both rounds from the starting lineup, even before Predator had the issues with the connection. Fast forward this video, says G.I. Joe. Airspeed about 250 again, descending through 20,000 feet, 68% RPM. Has only gone 10 miles since we last checked, so that's about 50 miles left to go. So, anybody watch anything good on Netflix lately? Lazarus asking, how can he have all this fuel left? What this guy do all match? And Ephraim just comes in simply, Hornet shit. Great answer.
Incoming transmission.
Fantastic answer. And that last incoming transmission reminds me that there's a bunch of follows I need to acknowledge. So, Sail Away, Pyromaniac, Dragoon, Captain, by the way, Curious Colo, and Farouz. Thank you all for the follow. Welcome along. Glad you're all here. So again, situation is, if redLine manages to land at Vaziani and not crash or go off the end of the runway, or what we refer to as fence in, thinking of 343rd Una Musca there, that will be the second round claim for PTF. At this stage I think we're all reckoning that he is fucking with us, so cool. Well done. And if doesn't, then we are down to a third round, which we don't think will happen at this stage, despite earlier proclamations. I think all that gate and whatnot is a bit of a giveaway. So, if the round goes to PTF, as we're kind of expecting now, that will be a final of 104th Phoenix versus PTF. Here we go with some more gate action, I think, coming up. I hear the engine spooling up.
If he really wants to fuck with us, he needs to shut down an engine.
He needs to dead stick it in. Yeah. Could you imagine if he dead sticks it in and crashes, and then the team... Could you imagine what the team would say to him? Lazarus answering the Netflix question is watching Fargo. Fargo's great. Mago is saying, watch Dark, best series ever. Yes, I watched Dark. It is fantastic. You have to watch it in the original German with subtitles. Do not watch the dubbed version. It takes away from it, to be honest. Here's the burner, so there you go. So, what else then? We are not done with this match after the final round. We will be doing an interview with both squadrons, taking another leaf out of Deliberator's book, and having a chat with them about what went on here. Maverick backing up, saying Dark is amazing, couldn't stop watching it, agreed. So after the interview then, we will have a quick Tacview analysis of what happened. And frankly, I'm looking forward to seeing that, because the first round and the second had a bunch of shit happen within a few seconds that we've missed in trying to capture some of the kills that we saw coming. So there's definitely things that we didn't get to see live, and it seems to be the case with some of these matches where everything happens quickly. It's nigh impossible sometimes. Billy says, that's funny as fuck that you have to land and can still lose if you fuck up. Yeah, it's one of those things of, you know, well, you know, if you go off the end of the runway and, like, catch fire, as we did see an aircraft do. Now, it wasn't the last of the squadron that did it. Again, I'm thinking of the 343rd Unamuske, and we all kind of were laughing for a while. It was good fun. But the rest of the squad then landed safely, so they captured the round. Bit tired asks, check the stats. Has he ever survived before? I don't think we've seen redLine in a match for PTF up till now. So I'm going to cut away from the monotony of that RTB for just a second. And I'm going to bring up that kill board since somebody asked, and we do not have redLine there. So redLine is not featured for PTF before tonight. So redLine has been in both rounds, and we'll have some stats after this, but up until now, did not feature. So yeah, complete unknown for us in terms of what to expect.
Incoming transmission.
X-Man with the follow, and Chi Madafaka. Brilliant. Thank you both for the follow, welcome. Maverick says, TitanFire, make it stop, bro. I can't watch. Well, we're getting close, because we can see the large lake kind of north of Tbilisi. In fact, we can see the airfields coming in now. Personally, that's always my landmark reference when I'm getting back over to this side of the Caucasus, to know where the hell I am. Boom, he explodes as soon as Titan changes view. At this stage, anything's possible. So I've no idea yet which runway he'll come in, but I'm going to position a camera expectantly on what I think will be 3-1. Currently 23 nautical miles out. So I'm afraid I have no information specifically about redLine. PTF Gori had sent me on some notes about the squadron and just made the reference that everybody was from Pakistan except for Kula and Lucky, the Tomcat drivers. So I'm going to guess that redLine is from Pakistan. And on the assumption at this stage that redLine was trolling chat. Well done, sir. I think we will see that land shortly. So any thoughts, Octuple, on the utter chaos we just witnessed?
Just nice to see the, say nice. It was interesting to see the, I think as you were saying before, the Phoenixes come in. I think I saw at least 2 kills. I think they got lucky again. Where the guy was basically trying to outrun it and just there was no chance.
Yeah.
I think it was Frosty, the one that I specifically saw where he was just cold and that Phoenix was just prowling down on him.
Yeah. And again, it's, we've said it a few times at this stage for people who have missed the pre-game briefing. I do recommend going back on the VOD, as I would, and checking it out. You'll see a breakdown of how both squadrons got to the semis and what we were expecting to see, and I think it would be an interesting comparison to, check that against what we have seen. But certainly, one of the big points that I took away from doing that analysis was that the Tomcats are a big part of PTF's arsenal. Basically, they overperform given there's only 2 of them. So they make up 33% of their airframes, but 40-something% of their kills. So they outperform the Vipers in that pure, kill per sortie type of ratio. Crips comes in saying, loving the stream. Thank you, Crips. Bullet, F-16 uses 30% less fuel than the Hornet to go the same distance. Gibb says, interesting stat. Maverick is talking about Dark still. Watch the German version with the subs. Yes, agreed, Maverick. That is the only way to watch Dark. I think initially it defaulted to the American dubbing and it was awful. You know, the lack of lip sync, obviously, because it was dubbed, just put me off. And a friend of mine had said, no, you have to watch it in the German, way more atmospheric. And yes. So, redLine clearly fucking around with us again. Well done. I do like shenanigans, as regular viewers of my channel will know. So here we are arriving at Soganlug on the nose, Tbilisi on the kind of 10 o'clock, and then Vaziani over in the distance there at 1 o'clock. So I think my camera is now facing the wrong way, and I'm going to reposition here for what I think will be 1-3. Fallen comes into chat saying touch and go Vazi and Soganlug before Vazi. Oh, that would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Land at the wrong airfield to take the piss and then go and land at the right one. I wonder what the rules would say actually if you actually touch down at the wrong one.
Drive out the gate and use the roads to get to Vaziani.
Well, I think redLine has certainly put on a show and made for quite an entertaining few minutes there of what the fuck was happening. But clearly is returning here to Vaziani. Recovering to Vaziani, rather. Did not start here, so not returning. Gear has come down. Now all you have to do is put it down and not fuck up the landing, because if you do, you will never live this down, redLine. Only because of the fucking around. Alright, we're seeing redLine in the second camera on the left hand side as a little pixel at the moment. We're just starting to get a little frame jutter here from DCS, so that is bounce on the ground. That's a good naval landing. No fucks given. 140 knots. Air brakes out. Brakes, of course, being like margarine on this jet, but it looks to be getting it under control. 80 knots. 50 knots, and that should be under control. Yeah, that looks good. So, redLine, I think we can collectively take our hat off at you for that trolling. That is some sterling work right there. That I don't think we were really expecting that one. So that is 2 rounds to PTF. So scoreboard updated. Let's make this proper. That is a finished result. PTF 2, TAW 0. Both rounds go to PTF. Right down to the wire with the last aircraft. And again, hats off for the trolling. If you had fucked that up, we never would have let you forget it though. And that means our final next weekend will be the 104th Phoenix versus Phoenix Task Force. We get a little bit of Phoenix on Phoenix. Also means that our 3rd, 4th place playoff on Saturday will be Eclipse Task Force versus TAW. And I think I'm correct from the conversations going on in the streamer chat. I think 104th Maverick will be hosting the 3rd, 4th place playoff on Saturday, 1900 Zulu, so check that out. And then the final will be hosted by Deliberator on Sunday, 1900 Zulu. And just as a personal aside, well deserved for Deliberator. Has done incredible work and in raising the bar and the standards of the streams that we have here. Any final thoughts, Octuple?
No, I think redLine's had his moment, so sure he can do it.
Yep.
I'm very curious to see how much fuel he has left.
I'd like to know if there's anybody in chat from PTF. Can you let us know how much fuel redLine actually has?
No, it's a good job from both teams, to be fair.
Yeah, I'll be curious looking back to see whether you know, I think TAW ended up going for the same tactic as the first round, and you know, sometimes it is a case of they just, you know, they might have felt it didn't execute it properly, and it had still had the chance of going again. So bear with me. So with that landing, we'll just go here.
Was the fighting over the same mountain? I can't actually remember now.
Down in the kind of that southern area, was it? I think it was more north of Bulls where they ended up for the end.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's like definitely two groups.
Yeah,
I
think that's exactly it. I'm gonna have to wait for the Tacview, but my gut feeling is that the grinder that they set up didn't work for them the way that they were hoping, and the number advantage we saw in the north, they just didn't get advantage or take advantage. From memory, I think we had 2 people in the south trying to hold off 3 or 4. I think it was 3. And you know, in that situation, you need to be defensive, but one of them got killed, and it probably fell apart quite quickly from there. But again, Tacview will tell all. So as I say, folks, stick around. This is not done yet by any measure. We have a little bit of ways to go. So we've got a post-match interview coming up with both squadrons, and then we will have a Tacview analysis. So stick around. We're going to take a quick break here for a few minutes, and then we'll be back with the interview. All right, folks, we are back live. We have a little overlay here on the stream so everybody can see who is talking. I'm going to talk through who our people are left to right. So first icon is PTF Gory, and then we've got PTF Falcon, followed up by PTF Kula, and Mr. Octuplefire, who was with me for the stream, then TAW Spectrum, and then finally myself. So, you know, we were just chatting there before we came back live, and before I asked the question of you, if everybody has any questions for the squadrons, please put them in chat, and Octuplefire will kind of parse through and hopefully give us a list in a few minutes. But the biggest question I think everybody has is, how much fuel did redLine have?
Gory, you should want to he was having around 2000, and we was keep telling him don't use afterburner, but I think he was trolling us as well. He was using afterburners, and we were just keeping the hand on our hearts. So before landing, I think he have 200 or 300 pounds.
Okay, so he's actually that low when he landed, 200 or 300 pounds.
Yeah, he kept on using afterburners, and you know.
That's magnificent. I have to take my hat off to redLine for trolling the stream there. But I made the comment towards the end that had he messed up the landing, he never would have lived that down. Alrighty, folks. So, question for both squadrons. We'll start with Spectrum from TAW first. You know, at this stage of the competition, there've been a lot of games played. Was there anything specific about PTF that you were watching out for, and how did it impact how you prepared for the match?
Yes, obviously we knew they flew the two Tomcats, so that was always going to be a challenge for us. And I think we probably saw tonight that they used those Tomcats to great effect, really, the same way they did with like the AMRAAM. So using those two combined made it really difficult for us.
Yeah, the Tomcats were a huge factor from the analysis that I'd done pre-match. We referenced a few times during the stream. So same question for our PTF folks here. You know, was there anything about TAW that you guys were looking out for, and you know, how did you prepare for the match?
Actually, as we already know that TAW is the champions of the champions, so we tried our level best here, and our instructors, Gatling and Titan, they worked really hard. They worked on each and every point. They found out from the
I'm afraid you're going robot on us there, Gory. The connection is just breaking down slightly. So perhaps if Falcon or Kula would like to pick up the thread there.
So, you know, as a flight lead, my duty was to see how my adversary is gonna come. I had to analyze their previous matches, how they act under certain positions, how they come in, how they enter and perform their maneuvers in the phase 1 of the fight. So yeah, we were, you know, everybody knows that TAW plays kind of aggressive. We were scared. They're notch kings. I've seen it. Yeah, so we worked our weak points, and yeah, result is here in front of you.
Very good. Thank you for that answer, Falcon. You back with us, Gory?
I think I am having a little bit problem with the voice server, maybe.
You're good. Good.
Yeah, we can hear you okay now. If there's anything more you want to add to that.
Yeah, I was saying that the TAW is, as you know, that they are champions of the champions and a very good team to play with. So last year, whenever we played them, they just, you know, kicked us out of the match, or outplayed us. But this year, we had a lot of practice with our great instructors, Gatling and Titan. So they worked really hard on us and worked on each and every weakness of ours. So I think we learned really well from them, and you see the result today.
Yeah, big congratulations for that win. So the next question for Spectrum, you know, from the TAW's perspective, you know, I want to ask specifically about round 2 and coming into it, because looking over the previous matches where you guys lost your first round, you came up back and won the next 2, and you know, we were kind of looking out, seeing if the same pattern would fulfill itself. So how did you guys, you know, approach round 2?
Yeah, so it's obviously throughout the tournament, we've lost the first round in basically all of our matches. I think there was only one we didn't. So why that's been happening, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, in terms of coming into the second round, it's usually just kind of sitting down, analysing what everyone's thoughts are, and why they think they might have died and stuff like that. So we can just then come up with a bit of a plan for the second round. Yeah, and just obviously keeping everyone motivated and good to go for the next round, because it can be difficult when you lose the first round. So, but yeah, I mean the boys throughout the tournament have done really well to kind of come back after that initial losing the first round, and then usually clutching and coming back. But obviously, just unfortunately weren't able to do it tonight.
Yeah, it went right down to the wire. Like, I think you were 3v1 at the end spectrum, and it basically went down to just redLine was happened to be in behind you. So well done on getting it that close. And we've seen that before. We were commenting on one of your first matches, getting down to 1v1 to win against Harpy, I think. So similar question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to spectrum.
Oh no, I was just going to say, shame I wasn't able to clutch it tonight, but yeah.
It was a good effort. Good effort, sir.
Yeah.
So same question for PTF then. Coming into that second round 1-up, was there anything you were looking to do differently, or was it doing more of the same? How did you approach it?
Yakula?
I think the plan was generally to try and do again what we did the first round, because it was a bit of a surprise the first round. And then we were quite sort of pumped at that point, and it was like, yep, let's go and do this again. So
yeah, well done. It certainly worked and paid off for you. So I've a couple of general questions then that I kind of want to ask you, and then we're going to go into the few questions from stream chat. So firstly, what was the most memorable match you've had in TACT? If we start with Spectrum.
I think obviously personally for myself, it would be the Harpier match with that one-on-one at the end. That was a little bit wild. I think from the team perspective, for me it'd probably be the Bravo match, and coming back from that first round down and being able to win that. But I mean, to be honest, all of the matches have been really good fights, and probably just say thanks to all the teams that we've fought against, because it's all been really good fun, and every team's given us a great match. So
yeah, it's been entertaining for me watching back through the history for both squadrons and seeing those matches play out. There's certainly been some really tight and fun moments for yourselves. So same question then for PTF. Have you guys have a most memorable match that stands out?
I think our most memorable match will going to be this match, the TAW match. Falcon, you can also.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was kind of very pressure on us, too much pressure on us, all of our team members. Because last time we engaged with the TAW, it was in a last year's settle match. We took off, and these guys just finished us like within 5 minutes.
They were just waiting for us to take off.
Yeah. Do we have to take off right now or what? It was so quick. So we had a lot of pressure.
Brilliant. So then, the last general question I'd like to ask of you is, how has the TACT experience been as a whole? And, similarly, what advice would you give to other squadrons looking to get involved, or other people who might look to get involved?
Falcon?
I think it was pretty good. No restrictions other than the nuke and the 9x. But I think that was all good. Every plane was allowed to go with its full potential. Although I think we should put the flankers in, the F-23 planes. I think flankers should get the chance. I mean, if we want to bend the rules, I think it's up to the TAC organizers.
I think we're starting to lose Falcon there. Slightly becoming a robot.
I think 64 has done a great job in organising this tournament. It's been really fun. I think it's great the way the rules have panned out. We've had some fantastic squadrons in this competition. I mean, I sort of first started playing competitive in SATAL Gold last year, so I'm relatively new to it. But this has just been such a well organised and run tournament. Really, thanks to 64th on this.
Yeah, something we've kind of echoed numerous times during the streams, that I think it's been a fantastic effort from the 64. I think that's X-Band and Rage predominantly, or in the organisation. Anything else, Spectrum, that you'd like to add for the same question? What's your general experience been like?
Yes, I mean, for us, it's been a great experience. I mean, for the guys who watch the usual SATAL, they'll probably see that the TAW Diamond team, a couple of guys weren't intact. But what that's done is able to give us a really good kind of platform to put in new pilots that potentially haven't flown 6v6 before. So myself personally, in the majority of the pilots here, haven't actually flown the 6v6. So it was our kind of first foray into it. And yeah, I think that the guys done really well to get through to the semi-final. And yeah, I just think all the matches have been, like I said, I suppose the performances of the other teams have been brilliant. Every match has been really entertaining. Even the matches that we've watched for other teams have been really good as well. So yeah, it's overall it's been a really good experience.
Well said. So then we've got some questions from the chat. Again, if people have questions they want to ask of the squadrons, please throw it into chat. Octuple will collate them for us. So the first one's from Mac Vision. PTF, what will your attitude be like to the 104th in the final?
Well, all I can say about this, actually, I haven't seen any of the match of the 104. Maybe a little bit, but I think we have to analyze that first. Definitely, we're going to be, we will be acting accordingly after looking at the Tacviews and after analyzing our adversary. So all I can say is, yeah, just wait it out and watch what we do.
Well said. So I'm going to ask the same question then for Spectrum, because you guys will have the 3rd, 4th place playoff next weekend up against Eclipse Task Force. Is there anything there that you're on the lookout for, or is it too early to ask that question?
I mean, I think it's probably going to be kind of. I think they fly the 14s and the Jeff, so yeah, that'll be a really good challenge for us and one that we'll look forward to. It's always nice to kind of face against diverse airframes and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be how we kind of deal with that. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well said. So then it's a nice segue there, because 51st Tech is asking, why don't PTF fly the Jeff?
Actually, Jeff is one of our favorite airframe, and soon we will see PTF flying Jeff as well.
Oh, nice succinct answer. So watch this space. And then the last question on the list I have at the moment is from Gibblator. Gib wants to know how they, as in both squadrons, track the combinations of 14, 16, 18 so well, and to know how to combine those different foxes effectively. He says that his brain was exploding watching the F10 screen. Anyone want to take a punt at that?
It's I think the pilots individually are well trained to stay in this design formation that they have to stay as briefed. So I think it's the personal the expertise of the pilots that we are achieving this combination, and we're successfully actually delivering the results through this combination. So I think our pilots are good trained, well trained.
Spectrum, anything you'd like to add to that complicated question?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice, complicated question there. Thanks, Gibblator. But yeah, I think it probably comes down to like the positioning and the mutual support and knowing where your certain airframes are. But yeah, other than that, it's probably that for me.
Very good. Alright, so I think that's all the questions from chat. At least that's the ones we've collated. So if there's anything more it hasn't been said, please throw it in chat again. In the meantime, Octuple, have you got any questions for the guys?
Yeah, I was just wondering how much time you've actually put into prep for this match, and basically how much time you prep for the entire competition. I know getting different people from different areas and I know for different time zones, how difficult that is.
Kula, you?
I mean, we sort of fly 3 or 4 times a week. We sort of had a bit of a peak recently where we were sort of flying a bit more than that. A couple of hours a session, just to give you a rough idea.
Yeah, and I think in terms of tour, we're pretty much the same. It's usually a few hours a night, especially when we're kind of near the matches and stuff. So
Cool. And is this like private training, or do you go on multiplayer to practice some of these things?
I very rarely go on multiplayer, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Me neither. I don't fly these, browsing servers. Sometimes, 1 or 2 times in 2 months. That's it. Too much chaos.
Yeah, same here. But time to time I used to fly and grow inside Wonder. It's a fun as well. So
I find it a bit chaotic for the Tomcat. I invariably get friendly kills.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Spectrum? Now I see quite a lot of tour guys about. Are you training privately, or are you just jumping on multiplayer servers every now and again?
yeah, I think people tend to jump on multiplayer servers every now and again, like sometimes individually or as groups. Usually, a lot of training we tend to do privately. But yeah, there is always sometimes people who jump on public servers and stuff. Can sometimes help with some of the workflow stuff for the aircraft and stuff like that. So.
Right, thank you. Excellent. Yeah, good to know. That's all I've got. So I'll hand it back over to Titan.
All right, thank you very much. So I don't think we've seen any other questions in chat. So anything that you guys want to ask of each other, or any other kind of general comments about TACT before we wrap up?
I think from me, I just want to say congrats, obviously, to PTF and good luck in the final. And then just thanks to all of the tour guys and all the pilots, obviously, for flying in this competition. And also we have guys who obviously haven't flown in the actual competition itself, and they're kind of like flyers, training or backup. So I just want to say a big thank you to those guys as well. And then 64th, obviously, for putting the tournament on.
Yeah, thank you, Spectrum, and you played really well. And good luck for the 3rd place.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for your time in this. A big congratulations again to PTF Phoenix Task Force for winning, and look forward to seeing you in the final against the 104th next Sunday, people. 1900 Zulu, and then Spectrum, commiserations, but look forward to seeing you against Eclipse Task Force Saturday, 1900 Zulu as well. But thank you all very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to chat.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Okay, stream folks, so stick around. We're going to get the Tacviews downloaded, and then we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. So, nice opportunity to stretch your legs, and then we're going to have a quick run through of the chaos that we just saw, as we said. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, see what we can take away from it. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Good light. Shuttles targeted. Coming left for the shot.
your hit? Copy. Last one. Left right. Stick right. There's another one. Bingo.
Alright folks, we are back. So the match finished 2-0 to PTF as we were just talking through, and we got ourselves a couple of Tacviews to watch. I'm still joined here by Mr. Octuplefire, and we will see what sort of chaos we missed during the live stream. Let me share a screen with you, good sir, so that you can actually see the Tacview. That would probably help.
There you go.
So we are still on a 30-second delay. Alrighty, let me know please that you can see that.
I can see it. Yeah.
Brilliant. I am going to just very quickly just make sure that the stream has switched over to Tacview, and then we will get stuck in. While I'm waiting for the stream to catch up, just a few shout-outs for additional follows coming in the last couple of minutes, so let me just get that housekeeping out of the way. Ninona 2000, thank you for the follow. Thought there were a few noises, but that'll do. You're all very welcome, appreciate each and every one. As I've said a few times on the channel, we're getting close to that 1,000 mark on the followers, so it's greatly appreciated to have people along. Alright, stream has caught up, so we have round 1 in front of us, so let's just skip into it and get going. Alright, so obviously this took a long time to get going because of Predator's issues. That was a question I did want to ask PTF, actually. How was Predator's connection in the second round, but completely slipped my mind in the end. So I'm going to run this a little bit faster until we see what happens. In fact, I'm just going to go back because I did talk about this a few times during the run-up about the way TAW have their opening formations. And that's always pretty nice to watch. So you can see all of them jettisoning bags more or less at the same time. Then on a mark, you got a few cutting in. 2 go north, 1 goes south. 3 turn cold, and you got the grinder set up. It's really cool seeing that. As you know, Octuple, I'm a big fan of formation flying, and seeing those sort of coordinated maneuvers is always pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, especially when they it's all down to just comms and they don't actually see each other.
Absolutely. So that was about a 30-something mile shot from Kula. Obviously we didn't have that stupid long-range one early, and I think Luminary got in the notch immediately from memory. Not sure where to look first.
I must admit, I did.
Taxi log will tell us. We can look ahead and cheat. First one should be redLine dying, then bad Lego. They're both up in the north. So that's some exchanges. You can see there's 4 AMRAAMs together being launched there by TAW. Yeah, so they weren't shy with their missiles.
No.
I'll jump up north here.
Yeah, they did have a few 18s, so I don't think they're all too worried. I think they're all at the 10 Amram loadout.
That's right, yeah, 10 AMRAMs and the 1 bag. So Bad Lego did well there, avoiding that Phoenix. Like, it feels like it was more later in the round when SA started breaking down that the Phoenixes kind of snuck in on people. So there's the first kill on Bad Lego, and or from Bad Lego on redLine, and immediately redLine gets back. So 8 nautical miles, they're both pretty low. We'll just roll that again. Pop. Pop. So the next one will be Luminary. So I think that's down south. Ah, there we go. There's more south. I was scanning down and it's like, hang on, there are only 3 TAW. Why is that? So this is what you were saying about the terrain, wasn't it? We can see Kula right down in that big gully. And Luminary similarly. Kula was really isolated here. Uh, 54 Charlie coming out.
Yeah. So we've just lost one of each team in the minute. We're just trying to do a quick head count.
Yeah, it should be 5v5 at this stage. So that Phoenix obviously did nothing. That was a really close range Phoenix from Kula. I mean, following up with an M9 as well, that was ouch territory.
Yeah.
Again, 54 Charlie, 3 miles. And Luminary tries to get in the notch from the 14, but just doesn't get in the notch from the Phoenix. M9 didn't look like it was tracking. So, the kill message on the left says Newbie 2 should be dying soon.
There it is.
Bang! So that was
yeah, so where was that from?
So this is what PTF do well. You know, again, looking back over their previous Tacviews, they have the Tomcats kind of just skulking about a little bit further back from the front line. And when they come in, you know, they kind of come in when you're not really expecting it. So let's let that play out. 9 miles. They're both low. They're not supersonic. 120 goes after Lucky, but they're still pretty much down in the hills. Lucky just about defends it, or defeats it. And that was a 54 Charlie. So we're down to... We're suddenly down to 2. That was Luminary, Newbie 2, Bad Lego. We're missing someone.
I'm just trying to read your the log.
Oh, it's yeah, pretty small text.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You just zoom out and back it up a bit.
Yeah, log isn't showing us much there. Newbie 2 and Luminary. So,
Luminary.
Who else are we missing? Bad Lego, and there's somebody else we're missing. From TAW's side.
Yeah, Bad Lego was at the start of the round. Falcon? Is it Falcon?
Yeah, where did Falcon go?
Falcon and Spark. They both...
Oh, sorry, PTF Falcon is here, but we were missing someone from TAW's side as well. Let's just keep backing up here. Unless I'm going mad. Spectrum. Did we see that kill? No, I don't think we did. So 10 mile Phoenix in the south. From Kula. Have we looked at that already, Triple?
that's,
I'm being told
yeah,
in
on the
chat.
right.
I'm being told in chat by Ephraim. You can see who was destroyed on the right. I've been using Tacview all these years, and I never copped onto that. That is hilarious. That would have saved me so much painful trying to figure out during this week. Thank you, chat. Mago saying it as well. Spectrum at the beginning. He was first, not bad Lego. Spectrum says Mago, go back. Yeah, thank you, folks. Alright, so Spectrum was 9 miles. Phoenix Amram. That was, I think we watched this live. Because that was
Yeah,
clearly
we initially
somewhere
thought it
decent,
missed.
wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Alright, so it went Spectrum, then Bad Lego. Bad Lego was from redLine, and then Lucky got a kill. I think Kula got another. So Kula was on 2, because Kula got Luminary. Let's let this roll again. Bullet with some more bits, thank you, sir. So Kula... Guess that killing... doesn't get a kill on Luminary, not there at least. So Predator has died as well there, at some point. I don't think we saw that.
Was Predator not? He wasn't in this round, was he?
Oh,
Not?
that's right, of course. He didn't fly. It's just showing us destroyed because he had spawned in at some point. That's why. Okay, let's roll that forward again. So redline's dead, Bad Lego's dead, Spectrum is dead, Luminary will die here.
I think it's supposed to be Spark or Falcon. Yeah, Spark just went down there.
Okay, so we'll roll that back.
That's from Frosty.
Spark is in the middle. So that's what, 5 miles. Coalt. Everybody was low here. This is actually really interesting. Just how much the terrain came in. Like you don't see this in F10, obviously. You know, we're right down in the ground, but everybody's down in the hills. Annalie, welcome. Yes, we are still on a 30-second delay because I'd have to stop the stream and restart it. That messes the VOD, so I'm just leaving it in place.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
Spark died. Got a raid coming in. Torres raiding with 50 viewers. Thank you for the raid. Welcome along. You're catching the end of the semi-final here. Second semi-final of TACT 21.1. We're just watching round 1 of PTF versus TAW. PTF have won the match 2-0. Spoilers. But there is a scoreboard at the top of the screen, so it's not too bad.
Incoming transmission.
Torres, thank you for the follow. Momo Meow also. Alright, so we had a kill
just
there.
Yeah, Frosty. Was that the Falcon's missile that got him?
I think so, yeah.
How far was that? 'Cause I'm surprised it actually reached him.
So 7 miles. Falcon was 8,000 feet, just supersonic.
Yeah, it must be the speed.
I mean,
It looked like he went cold there, but I think it was just
turned out
too
at
late.
6 miles, tried to notch. And then I think it looked like it hit rear aspect. I didn't know it was coming. I think he was actually notching. He was turning to Fox on Kula. If Frosty had stayed in the notch, probably would have survived or found a notch. So Frosty kills Kula. Kula, I think that was 2 kills for that round. And we saw Lucky had 1. So this was the... I thought it was Spectrum who was alive. I'm thinking the second round, aren't I? So this round it was 1v3. And Preacher dies, so that was the end of the round. 5 miles, gets a shot out, but it does not connect. They're both pretty low, again. Yeah, Falcon just managed to get into a notch there. So good flying from PTF, coming away with 3 aircraft surviving. Gib is asking, have real-time telemetry in Tacview been considered instead of F10? I don't know is the short answer. I think that's conversation that'll need to be had after the this tournament, or this version of TACT concludes, and we'll see. I'm not sure what that would do in terms of, you know, how that's restricted or not. Alright, so they RTB, there's nothing more to see there. Let's jump to the second TACT view. And again, we had a little bit of a lull because of the connection issues, but Predator did manage to stay connected. As we commented on, TAW did the same type of setup and ending up with a 3 up 3 back grinder. I mean, my takeaway from that first round, Octuple, is that grinder kind of broke down pretty quickly and people got isolated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as soon as the that first kill happened, you said it there, like someone got isolated down south, and it was just picking them off one by one. Then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just also just pretty much individual exchanges with the Tomcat cutting in every now and again.
Mm-hmm. Torres is asking what do we need to do to participate in this event, and Mago coming in with the answer. I'm just going to pause there a second. Have a look at the tournament section of DCS forums where you'll find all sort of events and how you can sign up. In fact, Moobot has just come in with a link to the ED forum post. If you see that link in chat, click into it. You basically just need you and a number of mates and call yourself a squadron. And that's pretty much it. It's 6v6 competition. Some of the people who are flying were new groups put together just for this tournament. So, you know, you can fly with 4 from your squadron and 2 mercenaries, who are people from other squadrons, so it's accessible. So that was Kula with the early Phoenix again. Looked like it was about 30 miles, I think, when it was launched, maybe less. And then Lucky with the follow-up Phoenix. It's funny looking at this match versus the Tacviews that I was reviewing this week, how often Kula would have a, you know, the first shot and Lucky then with the second. I can imagine the 104th will be analysing this quite closely. I mean, we can kind of just see the grinder flowing there. Like, Frosty is still in the grinder, but Luminary and Spectrum have broken down. Newbie 2 and Bad Lego are kind of in it.
Now, the question I wanted to ask was the terrain one. Now, they do have a bit of terrain there.
Yeah, we are in the north of the map here. I've spun it around, reference the arrow in the corner. So I think we've less terrain here. We're pretty much in the open valley between Kutaisi and Tbilisi. You can see where Kula is like right bang in the middle of this valley. Okay, Newbie 2 has died there a minute ago, so let's just go back. Newbie 2 was in the south, perhaps? Yeah. So let's jump in here. I think it was a Phoenix, possibly this one. I was going to roll that back to the launch point. So 20 miles Lucky was foxing, 19,000 feet. So kind of cool altitude, not supersonic. And just stayed hot for ages. I'm going to slow that down again there. Like, this was probably RWR rather than anticipated. So it's 54 alpha, so it's smoky. And that was what, about 4 to 6 miles. Tries to vertical notch and just doesn't pull it off. And the AMRAM sent in reply is going after redLine, I think. Oh, I think that's just gone stupid, yeah, it despawns. So that's Lucky and redLine now. So if we stop here for a second, I remember us talking about this during the match, Octuple. So if we look at the breakdown of where players are before that launch, we had, I think, Bad Lego and Newbie 2 down here kind of holding that front. Frosty looks like he's coming into this fight now, but it almost looked like there were 4 of them pressing 3 in the north. So I'm just going to let that roll and see where Frosty goes. Whether he stays in the south or goes up. I think we were speculating that if Bad Lego and UB2 could just kind of hold them off and play defensively and tie up those 3 PTF. But I think that was 3-on-3 actually. Frosty got involved. What do you think? Octuplefire is telling me his headphones have died. That is most unfortunate. We'll see if he comes back. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, effectively what we speculated on being a 2v3 really was still 3v3 with Frosty there, so I don't think it necessarily had the as big an impact as we were possibly thinking live.
Oh, just about that, I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back. Can you still see the screen share?
Yep.
I was just recapping what we were saying live about. I think we thought there were kind of a 2v3 in the south, and how it kind of broke down after UB2 died. But looking at the Tacview here, Frosty was still in that same area, so it was still effectively a 3v3, and that it wasn't necessarily as decisive as we were kind of thinking live.
Yeah.
I can see Luminary dies in a second, so I'm going to find Luminary up north, and Predator. No, there's those missiles. Hang on, actually what I think I'm seeing in logs is an AMRAAM killing an AMRAAM. Here it is. Hell of a defensive shot from Luminary there. Taking out the incoming AMRAAM. Okay, so those are AMRAAM kill messages. Kula gets killed by a missile from Spectrum. So Kula and Spectrum are here. So Kula hasn't had any kills in this round thus far. So getting a kill on the Tomcats. As we said earlier, the PTF Tomcats tend to be overperforming relative to the Vipers. So taking them out of the equation is quite big. Oh, that Phoenix went into the ground. And Kula just flew straight into it. But unfortunately for TAW, it looks like Luminary just got killed at the same time there. You still with me on table?
Yeah. Just trying to just curious what the range was on the Falcon and Luminary.
So 6.5 miles.
Yeah.
Luminary's firing on Predator.
Yeah, Luminary goes a bit slow there as well, doesn't he? 0.75 Mach.
Yeah, elects to try and outrun. I mean, I wonder at this point, like, where the SA is at. I suspect it's probably, like, you know, starting to break down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the fact Predator's only 6 miles away, that's not Predator Falcon, while you're, you know, targeting, so if you look at it the right way around, Luminary's looking at Predator, and then starts to turn out, just turn cold away from Predator. Probably knew very little about this missile coming from Falcon. As you say, just tries to run, and
yeah, it's just a bit too.
It's started to pick up, but it's not, you know. Maybe lit the cans, but it was just slow. So at this stage, if I pause for a second, I pause for a second just as Frosty died. Just before Frosty is about to die, we are 5 TAW players and 5 PTF players. Yeah, so if we look at the top right again, we see Newbie 2 is destroyed and Kula is destroyed.
I'm just curious about speeds. The obviously that's probably one of the drawbacks of the 18. I think they're shooting a lot of their shots under Mach 1 Tour. I don't know if that's the common theme, however, I've just noticed it a couple of times now.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation actually. Like, we can see, just looking at this screenshot here, you've got 3 members of PTF Supersonic, Falcon, Predator, and Gory. Gory's running cold, granted, but is defending. Whereas we look then at TAW, and only Bad Lego is Supersonic coming in. And a lot of these shots are clearly subsonic, so they're just not getting the legs. So that's a 10-mile Phoenix from Lucky, by the way. I think Frosty is shooting at Lucky. And Frosty
this
is
is
trying
the one
to
I
run.
saw where. Yeah, I remember watching this, and yeah, that Phoenix wasn't slowing down.
Yeah, this is what we've talked about many times over the course of these matches. That when you get into this sort of range, like, especially if this is an AMRAM, okay, you might be able to turn it out run, but you're still pretty slow here, so you need to start picking up, which he does. AMRAM, okay, you might be okay. But Phoenix coming in, like, you probably should know that's a Tomcat from RWR. You know, again, how good or bad the SA is at this stage. 11 miles, your only option is not your die, but this coming in here actually is going to be putting you off. And in fact, Frosty may have been defending that initially and got, yeah. It's hard to say.
I'm just curious now. Probably should ask the question when we're in the interview whether they were using PAL mode to get these locks. I'm just curious how these F-14s are getting these locks. I know Jester's a bit unreliable when you do lock stuff.
Yeah, I would assume it is PAL. Alright, who's next? I know there's like a number of, I wouldn't say restrictions, but like advisories about how to use the Tomcat, and within 10 miles I think it's okay, as is the active launch within 10. It's post 10 miles I think, maybe 12 miles. I'd have to check it again. I had a look over it earlier. So redline foxing on bad Lego. Oh, bad Lego dies. Wasn't expecting that actually, I was just picking who was in front of us. So that's 8 miles. And if we look at redline is actually subsonic there, 0.96.
Yeah. Going against what I was just saying earlier. They just turn cold sooner.
Yeah, I think it's
I
again.
just feel like Bad Lego's a bit hesitant with his defense there, but
yeah, I guess the Fox starts to pull a split S, but then opts to kind of go for the notch, but
yeah,
never pulls it off. I think you can just see the vectors changing as he's rolling about, and just couldn't get it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so at this stage we have 4 PTF versus 2 TAW. So we've seen Bad Lego die, we've seen Frosty die, we've seen Luminary die, and we've seen Newbie 2 die, I think. So we're down to Preacher and Spectrum. If I remember correctly, Preacher gets a kill here. Predator and Spectrum. Oh, Spectrum comes out with a big kill there. Like at this stage you think this is PTF's round, right? 4v2. I think we may have done a quick missile inventory and they both had sticks. But this is so crucial. Like again, we were saying it in the pre-game, we were saying it in the run-up to the second round while Predator was having connection issues, that Predator is one of the big pilots for PTF in terms of getting kills. I'm not sure we saw many kills from Predator, or any kills from Predator in this round, but still taking away that threat is huge, and certainly taking one of the 4 out of play here. So just let this run in real time. Predator's supersonic, Spectrum isn't, 5 miles. Goes straight for a notch, I think. I think Predator elected to turn cold at the last second. Let's just see how close that was.
Yeah.
I think terrain, yeah, terrain is a factor here too. I mean, it's pulling. I want to say it's pulling lead, and then here it's lost it. It's just still going over. I think it's ballistic by then. But if I go back, I want to see what Predator is at. I think he doesn't find the notch, and I think he's actually turning cold. So I'm going to run it real time. You can see the lines here. He's turning cold.
Yeah.
So no chance of defeating that. Alright, so then there were 3 PTF, 2 TAW. Is this where Preacher foxed everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, look at that! Takes out an incoming AMRAM. Alright, I wanted to see the range here before he was shooting them. So that is redline at 8 miles. Gory is 10 miles, and then Lucky is 12. So they're all pretty close. Let's let this go real time again. That missile looks like it's going to miss. This one from Gory. Oh, hang on.
Oh, yeah, this is where he.
Oh dear, did he G-lock or C-fit?
I'm not too sure, actually.
Let's have a look at that before we do anything else. We're going to watch this slowly. I want to keep an eye on G here. So at half speed. That's C-fit. Yeah, just took eyes off Terrain. And then Terrain kept eyes on him. That's unfortunate. But I still have a feeling there's a kill coming out here. Might be Lucky, judging by the way these are going.
No, I think it was... Yeah, because it was 3-on-1.
Right, okay.
And I know redline at this point only had aim 9s.
And there's a Phoenix on the way over from Lucky.
Yeah, Spectrum had 2 AMRAAMs. Gory had, I think, 3 or 2. I think Lucky only had the 1 Phoenix.
That's
maybe
right,
2 Phoenixes, yeah.
I remember commenting that Lucky had the only active on board, and there were... The Viper, of course, then wouldn't have heaters. This redline had heaters? Yeah.
Yeah, he had the aim 9s.
Yeah, the last kill was an M9, so... Gibbalitter says, the squirrels got one back from that C-fit. Damn squirrels. Alright, so Spectrum throws a missile, I think, towards Gory. It was about 8 miles. Gory's fast. 1.37.
Yeah. Actually, he's to his detriment here, doesn't it? This is where he gets killed.
Yeah, he can't complete the split S, so he opts then to try and go for the notch. So if you look at where he starts that, 12,000 feet, nearly Mach 1.4, you are going into terrain if you keep that up. You can see how close he is to the hill, so obviously he rolls out and goes, okay, I'm going to go for that valley, but then can't find a notch. So good work from Spectrum. There's a Phoenix coming at you. Well, looks like it's dumb, but it's close. Yeah, that went dumb. There was one of the 2 M9s from redline. Just as well, redline actually kept a hold of that.
This is the last Phoenix from Lucky. Surprised he actually shot it at this.
Yeah, 9 miles, like, he's already in a beam to you. It was probably just a rush of blood to the head.
Either wait for him to go hot, or if he's going to stay cold, maybe. Maybe he just thought he was going to stay cold and it can chase him down.
Because, I mean, Lucky will have 2 M9s, so, you know, get in close and basically survive this missile and it's your round. You know, you'll get in close, you'll use the heaters. And those heaters there, I'm not sure how much of a threat they were or not. That one fell short, that one looked like it went over. I'll just go back here and just watch that missile impact from Lucky's point of view.
Lucky probably thought, yeah, I'm just going to go for this. And
yeah. I wonder, did Lucky expect to die here? Is that why?
Yeah, I think that's probably why he foxed both.
Yeah, that was just... you know, I think PTF kind of got away with it given redline was there, but that was, you know, a moment that they could have rued. How long out was that? Because that seemed like a long Fox 2.
Yeah, it did seem...
1.5.
But he is slow, isn't he?
Yeah, 0.8 Mach. Not sure how much Spectrum knew about the Viper back here, or the Hornet. Not a lot by the looks of it.
I didn't see the launch at least.
Yeah, no flares. And that was it! Ephraim says, and then he flew straight and died. Yeah. And then we all got trolled by redline. Bringing the fuel to the redline. Can't believe like £2,000-3,000 when you're here and you're fucking around like that, landing with 200 or 300.
Yeah.
That is dodgy, honestly. And you can dead stick that if you've got the altitude from a decent range out, but... Well done, as I say, tip my hat. And that was round 2 of the second semi-final, PTF versus TAW. And there you'd like to go back and look at Octuple?
No, I think that's sums it up quite well.
Yeah, I think that's...
It was a bit of a bloody match, but...
Yeah, there was a lot of chaos in the middle. Like, if I have a look here through the kill logs on the left, that last hit was at 0840. The first kill was at... Well, the missile started flying around 0822, so the whole thing lasted 18 minutes. So it was relatively fast, to be honest. Like, I mean, we've seen 30-40 minute rounds on occasion. The first kill happened at 0835. So basically we went from first kill to last kill in 5 minutes. You know, we saw with the 104th and ETF last night, the second round lasted 3.5 minutes, so it all just got aggressive. Raccoon says, look for the fuel state, please. Can you get fuel readings in here? Well, you can. Does it actually tell you, though? No. Unless, Raccoon, you know something I don't. I see a readout for it, but I don't actually see any numbers. I'll wait for stream delay to catch up there. Deliberator is saying, afraid they can't check the fuel state in Tacview. That was my understanding. I'll just again wait for stream delay to catch up for somebody to say, ah, okay. Feels like 30 seconds. Alright, well, in absence of any information coming to actually get a readout, but we did find out in the interview from Gory that he had about £2,000 or £3,000 at this point, and when he landed at Vaziani, had about 200 or 300. So all that liberal use of burner was not because he had tons, but, you know, was definitely still trolling us. I think the squadron were probably a little bit, I'm putting words in their mouth there, but a little bit on edge with him. It's like, don't use burner, he's using burner, don't use burner! Alright folks, well that is the end of round 2 in the Tacview, so that, I think, will bring our stream to a conclusion. Deliberator says maybe you do need in real-time telemetry to get that info, but we don't have it in the servers yet, so Deliberator is backing me up. Thank you again, Deliberator. So, I think we will end things here. Alrighty, so that was semi-final 2, PTF taking home the match 2-0 against TAW. So the last 2 matches of TACT 21.1 are coming up next weekend. Maverick will be hosting the 3rd-4th place playoff on Saturday, if I'm remembering this correctly, and that'll be Eclipse Task Force against TAW. That will be a cracking match, to be honest. And then, of course, the final will be on Sunday, 1900 Zulu. Deliberator will be hosting it, and well deserved at that. And that, of course, will be the 104th versus Phoenix Task Force, PTF. And that, I think, is going to be a cracker as well. So, thank you all very much for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm very curious to hear feedback, by the way, on the pre-game stats and how it got presented and how useful it was, or, you know, you want more of that, less of that kind of thing, and indeed, where we referenced them during the match. Please let us know on the TACT Discord. I'm very much, as I say, wanting feedback on that. It was fun to present. Hopefully people enjoyed it. Thank you, Octuple, for coming along. It's been lovely to have you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that will be my last stream on this channel for the final. I hope to join Deliberator next weekend, and yeah, we will see you then next weekend for the 3rd-4th place playoff with Maverick, and then the final with Deliberator on Sunday. So thank you all very much. It's been a lot of fun doing TACT, and we will chat to you soon. So take care, folks, and good night.
Red light.
Juggles targeted. Coming left for the shot.
Fox. Fox